and keys. Sweat drips down, can't find peace. Eyes like daggers cut through breeze. All these ghosts, they never leave. Who's a liar? Who's a prey? Who's a hunter in this play? True Crime Cafe, where shadows stay. True Crime Cafe, where sins replay. True Crime Cafe, no price to pay. True Crime Cafe, every damn day. Tables stained with secrets deep, promises broken, wounds that seep. The jukebox screams, the lights will weep. No justice here, just lies to keep. Hey, hey, down! Coffee's cold, blood runs hot. Corner table, a ticking plot. Whispers rise, stories rot. No escape this cursed spot. True Crime Cafe, where shadows stay. True Crime Cafe, where sins replay. True Crime Cafe, no price to pay. True Crime Cafe, every damn day. Fingers tapping blackened keys. Sweat drips down, can't find peace. Eyes like daggers cut through breeze. All these ghosts, they never leave. Who's a liar? Who's a prey? Who's a hunter in this play? True Crime Cafe, where shadows stay. True Crime Cafe, where sins replay. True Crime Cafe, no price to pay. True Crime Cafe, every damn day. Tables stained with secrets deep, promises broken, wounds that seep. The jukebox screams, the lights will weep. No justice here, just lies to keep. Hey, hey, down!
All right. Welcome back to the cafe. Late night with Dago in the house, guys. Thank you for joining us. We're open late tonight, guys. Great to see you all again. Joining us as we head on back to Idaho to review these new documents dropped today. And oh boy, was there some. We might have to split this up, folks. But hey, that's what we're doing tonight. And I do appreciate you all so very much for joining us. Come on in. Let's get this show started, guys. Again, quite a few new documents dropped in Idaho. That's what we're doing. Please make sure to hit that like button on your way through the door. Excuse me. And share this out. You guys know what comes next. I don't have to tell ya. Here we go.
Flicker like broken halos. Whispers gather in the smoke-filled air. Tables carved with secrets and shadows. story's a wound laid bare. The kettle's boiling with a restless rage, justice written on an unseen page. I sip the silence, bitter taste, waiting for the ghosts to show their face. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. Mirrors cracked, reflections are liars. Ashes fall where the guilty once stood. The jukebox hums like a funeral choir, echoes pounding through the neighborhood. Every scar is a candlelit vow. We hug the how, we demand the now. No more silence, no more disguise. We'll paint the night with sharpened cry. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. This is not a sermon, it's a battlefield hymn, a requiem dripping from the bottle's rim. The guilty write stories in invisible ink, but we'll drag it all up from the edge of the brave. At the True Crime Cafe, the reckoning burns like a black bouquet. Every shadow will pay. In the True Crime Cafe.
All right. Great to see you guys tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. Again, folks, we are open late for that business tonight. Guys, come on, grab your coffee, tea, whatever it may be. Grab a seat, get comfortable, guys. We got some new documents to review in the Idaho 4 case, guys. We shall see what happens, guys. I got 45 people in the house, 32 likes. Let's make that match, guys, and get this in that algorithm if we can. Come on in. Let's see who we got joining us in here tonight. Miss Christina, welcome back to you. The Tomboys in the house. Great to see ya. Great to have you here. The Canadian Cat Lady, welcome back to you. Beach Babe, always happy to see you. Miss Anna D with Truth and Justice, True Crime. Always happy to see you. Woke up in 84. Great to see you tonight. So happy to see you guys. Miss Tandy's in the house. Great to see you, Miss Tandy. Good time to unwind on a Friday night. Murky Piglet, welcome back, Piglet. Great to see you. The lovely Miss Bianca, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Charlene, 101 in the house tonight. Great to see you. Let's see. Eddie's in the house. Hell yeah. Great to see you, Eddie. Welcome back, brother. Bobby X, same to you. Ryan Anderson, welcome back to you. Fizzy is in here fizzing around. Great to see you tonight, Fizzy. Michelle F., welcome back to you. Always happy to see you guys. Let's see here. Michelle Weddle, welcome. Great to see you. Beach Babe, great to see you. I think I already said it, but you get it twice. Let me see. Yeah, Miss Denise in the house. Great to see you, Miss Denise. Thank you for joining us tonight. The bomb toy, of course. Come on in. Come on in. Thank you to my mods for joining me tonight. God bless. So very much appreciated. Let's see here. Let's see. Show. Please do what Miss Tandy says. Hit that like button. Share it out. Come on in, y'all. Great to see you, Bianca. We don't get to see you very often. It's great to see you tonight. Gracefully Salty. Wonderful to see you as well. Come on in. Come on in. I think I got everybody in the house tonight. Let me see. Oh. Come on in, guys. Get comfortable, please. Please, please. We got new unsealed court documents, folks. Let's see what we're going to be getting into tonight. This should be interesting for sure. For sure. Just making sure everybody knows about it. Come on down, you guys. Come on down. Let me see. Come on down, everybody, please, and thank you. Hopefully, we won't be in here super late tonight. Like I said, I might have to split this up over tonight and tomorrow because there are quite a few in here, and I don't want to drag you guys. You guys have been in here twice today now, and I do appreciate that all so very much for sure. All right, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. If you want to join me, AR Hayes in the house again. Good to see you tonight, AR. Thank you for joining us. SLE, great to see you. Miss Cat K's in the house. Great to see you, Cat. Woman Power 101. Great to see you. If I didn't already say it, I may have, guys. I forget. Michelle Tully, great to see you. Charm Free, welcome back. 63 beautiful peeps in the house, guys. And we got 36 likes. Let's turn that around. Please and thank you. Mr. Hayes in the house tonight. AR, I'll be sending you that phone number, my friend. If you just, I'm trying to, my phone has got a virus right now, folks, so it's screwing with me. There's a bunch of stuff I can't do with it, so bear with me. I downloaded one of those stupid games and it came with a virus. I have to figure out what to do with it, so. Yeah, crazy ass thing pisses me off. I don't know how to do without doing a full hard reset on my phone, and I'm going to lose a bunch of stuff that I can't afford to lose, so. Oh, do you have it, AR? Okay, good, bro. Sorry, it took me so long. I hope you do. My apologies. I just been doing too much today. I'm going to get my info over to you too. I want to pick up one of those hats off you, dude. For sure. Come on in, everybody. Good to see you guys. 67 people, 40 likes. We're getting there for sure. SLA, you got again. Good to see you if you didn't hear me. Let me see. Just waiting to hear a few more minutes. I hope everybody's having a great night tonight. Thank you guys for joining us this afternoon, early this afternoon, and this evening. Thank you, Tomboy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I definitely cannot afford another phone. That's for damn sure. Thank you, Tandy. Mary Holt, good to see you. Holes, welcome. Sorry that it took so long, Tandy. Come on in, grab a seat. You Is that better, Tandy? Welcome, Elizabeth Wagner. Welcome, Elizabeth Wagner. All right. Is that better, you guys? Can you hear me clearer? Is it louder? Welcome, AR. Good to see you tonight, sir. Is that better, you guys?
Yeah, good to see you. I'm trying to turn off my phone.
Am I loud enough for you?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. I was just coming up. I know you're going to go over the docs, and that's not my forte. So I thought I'd come hang out and get front row seat, listen to you, comment when I can, and
Absolutely.
let you roll and roll and roll.
Absolutely. I'm wonderful to have you up here tonight. I appreciate you. And of course, you know, any thoughts, feelings you have as we're reviewing them, sure thing. Absolutely.
And by the way, text me in regards to your phone with whatever service or whatever you have. I have a stockpile of phones, man, that were given to me by various providers, and I'm more than happy to furnish you with one. If you've got an issue with yours, I'll try to do my best to help you out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I like to play those bubble shooter games and the bingo games and stuff. I get bored sometimes, and that's my, just to kind of relieve some stress. And I downloaded one, said it was good. And I have a thing on my phone, and it was supposed to scan it, but it didn't. And I played the game once, and then I turned my phone off and reset it. I do that all the time. As soon as I turned it back on, like I've been having repeated things pop up on my phone, one after another, after another, after another. It just doesn't stop. It interrupts phone calls and text messages and everything. And my virus scan's not even working on it. And it just keeps doing this again and again. And it keeps showing me all of these stupid, it's doing like its own thing. All this crazy shit. Virus toolkit, virus, antivirus this, antivirus that. That's what it keeps doing. So it's a virus, obviously. And I can't
take off your virus deal that you have installed on there, deinstall it.
I did.
That'll stop the pop-up ads for that. And then reset your phone.
I did that too. Soft reset, not a hard, but a soft.
Yeah, no, don't hard reset it. You don't want to lose everything you have. But,
right.
But yeah, I've got a stockpile of phones. My wife always is protective of me because I like to download those gambling games, and she won't let me go gamble real money. I gamble on my phone.
That's
And
what.
let me tell you, I get viruses like crazy, and they're never jackpots. They're always just loss of coins with a
Yeah.
with an error message.
Yep. That's exactly what I was downloading too. And now it's insane. It's like one after another of these things are popping up. No matter how many you close, another one pops up. You close another one pops up. And it was these bingo legends. They're like you can play with fake money and stuff. Some of them you can play with real money. Bingo Crown, the bubble shooter thing, the Vegas slots thing, and it's one after another. So but those I was having fun with the one, and I went through the app store and it said it was okay. It's weird, but I picked up a virus somehow. I think I downloaded one from another game is what I did accidentally.
I think everybody out there will tell us the gambling's just a big no-no, and karma will bite us in the butt if we're not doing our true crime channels trying to put out content.
Yep. Yep.
It's always what my
Absolutely.
wife tells me. She said you got plenty of time to play on your phone, but no time to make a 12-minute video.
Yeah, right. See?
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah. See, it says, and this isn't even real. This one keeps popping up here. Says your Android is infected with viruses. You should immediately install anti-spam program. The spam program that it wants me to install is a virus as well. So I just haven't had time to go in and do anything to try to stop this. It just keeps doing this and buzzing and making these weird ass noises. It's crazy. So, Truth Seeker, good to see you tonight. I'll get to it.
See everybody in there, and Seahawks fan, I'll get back to you. I know you wanted a hat, so I'll make sure I get back in touch with you and make sure that we can set that up so I can get that out to you.
Oh, I want one too.
It's important that everybody wears a hat saying that they support a convict.
Yeah, 100%. I love fitted hats and I collect hats. And the one you had on last night, I really like that a lot. So I want to get one of them too.
So Jen was telling me last night when I was inquiring with her, we've got over 100 different colored hats, different colors. We've got different styles, including button-up backs to the fitted. We've even got the Kangol hats, and we've got over 1,000 different scripts and colors that we can put those in. So
wow,
we can even custom design it to exactly how you want to do it. And we have a company here locally that we work with. It's not one online, so we don't have to pay some crazy money to some of these companies where we lose like 80% of the deal. So.
Right. Murky, thank you so much. 1 out of 5 on our first goal for the night. Thank you so much for that, Murky. God bless. I appreciate that so much. So very generous. Very generous. Miss Sweet Melissa, welcome. Good to see you tonight. It is.
So
annoying.
Is this obviously we're talking Idaho 4 has now released some more documents. Is this out of Moscow or is this out of
no,
the other jurisdictions?
These are the unsealed documents that they've been dropping every so often. I think this is the last batch. Oh, and another one again. Murky dropped another one. That's 2 out of 5 already, guys. We're only 23 minutes in. Thank you, Murky. God bless. Very generous for general purpose.
Murky, you're amazing. Appreciate you supporting the channel here.
Yes,
so this is Judge Hippler finally releasing some more of the information that's probably heavily redacted, false, incorrect, fake. That typical stuff.
100%. Yes, this is all the redacted, unsealed, heavily redacted. I'm guaranteeing you that some of these documents, because some of these I have a lot of interest in, those are going to be the ones that are going to have full out JFK blacked out pages on them, as I call it. So yeah, don't be surprised, folks. Don't be surprised.
Let me tell you, I FOIA requested, and I knew what I was in store for when I did it, but I went after the federal documents. I wanted the feds to provide what they were doing on their side of things. And let me tell you, they got a couple of middle fingers up in my direction, and they've got just about every block. And I believe Jules of all trades tried to do some of that same stuff, and she got the same outcome that I did. And
Annie Potts tried it. Jules tried it. And once I saw what Annie said, and what I'm not even going to attempt the federal. Not even going to attempt it. But what I am FOIAing is I'm making a list right now of all the businesses that are around the food truck. Okay. And which I know they're not going to give us. I'm going to try to FOIA any of the camera footage from around those areas from that night and see if it's going to give us anything at all. they could try to charge me $100,000 for it. That's what I'm expecting, but I don't expect to get an answer on it, to be honest with you,
Let's
AR.
see, I have a younger brother. He's my adopted brother, and him and I just recently got back into contact with each other because he saw that I was, turning my life around and trying to go the right direction. He's actually a federal prosecutor, and he's helping guide me in the ways that I can approach FOIA requests on the federal side of things and various things. So it's kind of nice to have that because, I mean, when you have a federal prosecutor that's helping you, he can literally help me write these things in the appropriate manner that can help me maybe open some doors. We'll
That's
see.
awesome.
I mean, like he told me, he says, we're one of the most secret types of ordeals that you can ever imagine. We're one of those entities that lives behind closed doors at all times, and you have a very hard time seeing through those doors. But, first of all, I mean, it's just great that he's opened the door that him and I can talk again through so
Yeah.
many years of not being able to because of my history and my background. And now,
Sure.
it's like, it's cool that he'll help guide me too.
Absolutely.
When you're trying to work within this genre, within the true crime, this is a new experience for not only by myself, but a lot of us that are jumping into this have not dealt with some of these entities like what Idaho 4 is throwing at us. I mean, this case is different from all.
Yes.
This is just different from all.
Very, very much so. Welcome, Jennifer Meineke. Good to see you tonight. I do agree, my friend. It is beyond anything I've ever seen, experienced, ever. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's so, and I'm sure we're going to see even more in these docs that you're about ready to go over tonight. There's nothing this hidden ever in the history of a criminal case, especially after somebody's sentenced and sent off to prison. They'll protect the victims in a certain way, but I've never even seen crime scene photos locked down the way that these are. These were not children. I mean, I get children's crime scenes are locked down. They have to be. I 100% support that. If you're under the age of 16 and something crazy happens, especially that's sexually explicit in some sort of nature, you have to lock that down. And I get it. But these were adults.
Yep.
And I understand that it could potentially be graphic, but from what we've seen in the crime scene photos, didn't seem all that graphic to me.
They really weren't.
I've been in some crime scenes that literally were graphic, and they made this sound like it was going to be far worse than those. So much so they had to tear down the house, and it's very disappointing in what we've been able to learn.
That statement has been made way more than once, AR, with what you just said. Absolutely. We all expected, we were told this was a massacre, and we all expected to see a massacre, like I was expecting, like a horror movie, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre type situation. And it was nothing like that. And we were all confused in the beginning, but I think there's been a lot of things and that's with everything, to be honest with you. The only thing I'm comfortable with knowing that's true in this case is the date that this happened, November 13th of 2022. And that's fact. We know that these four lost their lives. After that, I don't know that I trust anything else that's been handed to us. I just don't. With everything that's happened, everything we've seen, how could we, So
I agree. If I may, I just want to answer the question.
No, go ahead. I have to take you. You can take the floor, my friend. I have to grab something real quick, so I'll be right back.
That's fine.
I can still hear you.
Just to kind of share a little bit with everybody in regards to health. I feel so much better as we're working through this, and I'm not here to take over Dago's panel or talk about just myself, but I appreciate the people that are asking. The vision, the left eye, I've been going through very good treatment in regards to, I get injections in the left eye once a week, and I get laser surgery on the left eye once every 3 weeks. That's a precautionary thing due to my diabetes and the blood hemorrhaging on the inside. So it's helping me keep the vision in my left eye. and it's doing very well. The right eye, I'm permanently blind in. They could not fix the retina detachment. It's a cornea issue at this point now on top of that, and it's just not worth pursuing to move forward with. So I've accepted the fact I'm completely content. I'm blind in one eye. I've got decent vision in the other. I turned in my driver's license, which everybody out there that's listening, you should be damn well happy. I turned in my driver's license because the roads are now much safer. I saw the infection doctor again today. Yesterday, I had seen the hand surgeon. And the good news about that is the hand surgeon felt as though we needed a couple more weeks with the PICC line and the IV antibiotics, medications. Today, the infection doctor completely cleared me of the infection, and they plan on removing the PICC line as of probably Monday of next week. So with that being said, now I get to actually move forward in some other avenues, to work to improve the health in other ways. And I'm really excited. I've got Unfiltered Lucky working alongside with me. He's like my positivity coach. So it's great to have him kind of pushing me and sticking with me while I do it. And it seems like most of you guys are, as well as my wife. So I can't thank you guys enough. I feel, I want to say I feel great. I really do. I feel really, really good. And I just plan on focusing the rest of this year on health and getting as healthy as I possibly can. And then next year, I'm hoping that we're going to be cancer completely free, and we're going to be settled and moving in a good direction. So I appreciate you guys all asking, and I don't know if you're still here with me, right? I didn't mean to take over your panel, man.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Woke up in 84. Happy day anniversary today. And thank you so much. Says it's member for 14 months, but been sub for 34 months. And I know that's facts. Thank you so much, Woke Up. I appreciate you so very much.
Isn't that just amazing? Almost 3 years. And
yes, a lot of this community has done that too, AR. A lot of this community
that's lasted more than a couple of my marriages. Let me tell you right now. I mean, Jen and I, this upcoming year, will have been married 17 years, which we're pretty damn proud of since we're still young.
Absolutely.
But, I've had some marriages that have lasted far less than what most of my members on my 2-year-old YouTube channel have
lasted. Absolutely. I get it. Yeah, my first marriage to the creature was 9.5 years. And my current marriage to the love of my life, my soulmate, has been, we hit 20 years this year, and we've been together for 25 total. So
that's amazing.
It's absolutely
Jen and I met, and we were married like a couple of days. I'm kidding. It wasn't a couple of days, but we literally got married pretty quick. We just built a real bond as friends and hangout buddies, and it just transformed into one of the best bonds you can imagine. It sounds like you share that with your wife as well, and we're definitely blessed. Blessed.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade this for anything in the world.
I probably would change. If I found a girl similar to Jen that lived in like France or on the beach in Hawaii that had millions of dollars, I would consider trading it in. But I'm not going to find that nowadays. So she's stuck with me.
I promise that I will never tell her you said that, my friend, ever.
Oh, I mentioned it, and I've got bruises.
Yeah, well, like I said, I won't, but I can't promise you. If she corners me, I can't promise that I won't tell her the truth. So.
Yeah. Well, remember last night during the live, I absolutely admitted I've been locked out in the hallway a couple of times. So.
I get it. I do. Welcome, Hummingbird. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Great to have you here. Hope you're doing well.
Looks like another great crowd tonight, Dago. It's always amazing to step in. I normally just kind of hang out in the background. I listen to you guys chat most times. You and Eddie are one of my favorite too to listen to when you guys get to go, and it's always a great listen. So I love to do that. And then I just kind of watch who's in the crowd and what they have to say. But what a great, I mean, it's just always cool, even from a background stage as a content creator, to see the amazingness of the people. Even when I try to keep my mouth shut so I don't get too engaged. Like, I don't want to take away from your chat. I don't want to take away from what's going on your panel.
Right.
So it's always really cool to hang out, but it's fun to watch. It's
I
really,
appreciate
really
it. Either way, I do. Any way, shape, or form, I appreciate you being here. As always, Lucy's in the house. Hey, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Good to see you tonight, dear. Senior Wazowski, welcome back, brother. Good to see you tonight. The last 24 is in the house. Thank you for joining us tonight. To Callie, welcome back to you, dear. Great to see you.
I always have to come in and hit the thumbs down for you, Dago. I know you like those thumbs ups and the likes, but I got to make sure you know I was here. So those thumbs downs are me.
Absolutely. Somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. B-Man in. Right. Absolutely. I got you. B-Man in the house. Good to see you.
And whoever's doing your music now in your intros is just amazing.
That would be our videographer, Molly. She does amazing things. That song right there, that new intro song, that needs to be on the charts as far as I'm concerned, bro. I love that song. She's done amazing with it. I love Molly to death. She's always done great stuff here. She just now redid that intro, the video intro. She did a great job with it. And it turned out great. I do truly love it.
She does amazing work.
Yeah. She's got a channel. She's got a bunch of stuff on her own channel that she's done amazing with as well. Missy Moo, welcome to you. Lucy said, hey, y'all, I was trying to lurk, but I had to respond to AR. Lucy,
and you know what's bad about that, Lucy? I'm always glad that you're here, and I love that you're having to respond to me, but I missed it. Did she yell at me? Did she put me in my place, Dago?
I didn't even see it. Lucy couldn't lurk if she wanted to lurk, you guys.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
She couldn't lurk. Well, I don't want her to lurk. I want to see what she has to say every time. I didn't see what she said, though. Teresa,
is Lucy, is she still doing content? Like, where am I at in this whole? Like,
the Heather Fitzgerald channel, I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, Heather and I, we've been around the block together for a long time, but ever since I went off the deep end over here, I haven't been able to talk to her as much, and I miss her. Heather, I do miss you and your Pitbull.
Yes, Pitbull-potamus.
Yeah. I'll trade you my 3 for year 1. It will be easier.
Right. Thank you so much, Teresa, for that super sticker. God bless. Very generous and very much appreciated.
All 3 of mine are now over 100 pounds, so I just don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I know the last time I saw them on one of your videos, they looked pretty big then. So yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, my female explode, like, she's getting old and she's slowing down. She's 125 pounds now, and
right.
It's making me really nervous because of the age, and she's got some health issues herself. So it's getting to be that big decision time here in the near future. But I'm going to hang on as long as I can. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I absolutely understand. There's a link to Lucy's channel right there. Thank you, team.
Yeah, I would think I was subscribed, but maybe she booted me. I wonder if she banned me.
Oh, I doubt that. I've
only been banned from a couple of channels, but it's growing in nature quickly.
Yeah, she made a statement up here, and there's Molly's link to Molly's channel. You guys, one that does our music here in the videos, please check it out if you will and support her, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't. She did make a statement back to you right there. That woman is going to kick you and keep the dogs, for fuck's sakes.
She can have 2 of them. The other one she can't have is Xander. Xander's by far easily mine. So
there you go. She
wants to pick the others. She can have them and feed them. She can try to carry those dogs.
Right. Welcome, Nothing Half-Assed. Good to see you tonight. Great.
Now, Nothing Half-Assed, is she still doing her impersonations of Nancy, my favorite disgrace in life?
Yes.
Yes, she's
she
amazing.
does. Yeah. Oh my God, it's hilarious. It is
Yeah,
hilarious.
she made me die laughing many of times, and it's
Yeah.
always great to see her. The sense of humor is amazing.
You guys have to check that out too. That is great. I love it. Once I figured it out, I had to be told I was like an idiot. I thought that was actually a channel of somebody that existed, and she's like, "Nope." They go, "That's me," and I was like, "Oh my God, okay."
She does amazing work, amazing work. Now I'm taking away from your work here, but if you
It's
want
all
to get
good.
into these docs, I'm ready for you
Yeah,
to.
yeah. It's all good. I was just making sure everybody was here and letting you say what you had to say. Again, Eddie, you're welcome to join me tonight, brother. If you feel like it, you're welcome to. If not, understood. Let's see. The first and some of these are short-lived, quick to the point, out the door they go. And let me see here. All right. Back to Idaho docs, guys. Again, these are the unsealed redacted documents that Hitler has now released. This is the second or last version of them. I think it is stated as possibly the last. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Let's see here. Okay.
Well, I'll see out of one eye, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. States
We'll see how it
proposed.
goes.
Sure. Oh, Siggy, I did say hi to you. Welcome. Making sure I didn't miss anybody in here. I definitely don't like doing that. If I did, I will catch up with you. I promise. Molly is amazing. That is true. Yes, I believe that too. It is. That song is the best song I've ever. I will never be changing that song. Now I love it. No matter what happens, I love it. Phil is in the house. Good to see you. Yeah, I think about everybody did, Eddie, watching that short video. It was hilarious. Good to see you tonight, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us. Phil says, hello, Mr. AR Convict Thoughts with AR Hayes, sir, and the Dago. Say hi to AR for me, and I'm doing it. There you go, Phil.
Thank you very much, Phil. You've been around for a very long time yourself, sir. It's always great to see you. Always great to see you.
All right, 1 second, and we're getting this boat in the water.
Don't expect me to row the boat.
No worries. Welcome, Lacey. Good to see you tonight. Norma Fralin, great to see you as well. Please make sure, guys, that you're hitting that like button when you come through the door. We do appreciate that. Share that out, please.
As you get yourself organized, Dago, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee.
You go for it, my friend. Go for it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, take your time, but I can hold off and wait for you if you'd like. If not, I can just start reading it either way.
Yep, jump in, and I can hear you from wherever I'm at.
Sounds good. So this is the state's proposed supplemental jury instruction document, unsealed, released. There's nothing redacted from what I can tell. Excuse me. Come down to the state of Idaho by and through the Latah County prosecuting and pursuant to the court's directive contained in the full paragraph of page 13 of the April 17th to 25 order on defendant's motion in limine regarding the Ryland Nowlin and touch and contact DNA. The state respectfully submits the attached draft jury instruction to be used in the event the terms touch DNA, contact DNA, and trace DNA are inadvertently used during trial. Ridiculous. The state acknowledges that the court's request was to submit a mutually agreeable instruction. However, the parties have been unable to reach agreement, so the state is submitting its draft for the court's consideration respectfully on this 28th day of May. Unbelievable and crazy as far as I'm concerned. And that, if you notice, there's nothing on that page there. It might be down here. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah. State's requested instruction number. The court has asked that the witnesses refrain from using the terms touch DNA, contact DNA, and trace DNA to the extent that those terms may have been mentioned by a witness. you are to disregard that particular term and not give it significance as you consider the evidence or testimony related to the use of the term. You guys realize why they're doing this, in my opinion. This is so ridiculous. It says ICJJI 308, evidence limited as to purpose, modified. Welcome, Redacted, doing Redacted.
Can we hang out right here on this and talk about this for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point, right?
I think that coming from where I've come from, this is one of the most ridiculous things that we've ever seen in the discussion of how to present DNA evidence within a courtroom at a trial. So my biggest issue with this is, you if you're caught lying on the stand, it's considered perjury, and that's punishable by law, either by fines, jail time, or even more so than that. At other times, people like myself could even get a felony for it.
Yeah.
Meaning you go do prison time. So what this makes me feel, Dago, and I don't know why some people have told me, oh, no, you're just seeing it the wrong way. I don't feel as though I'm seeing it the wrong way. I feel as though we are watching with our own eyes a judge instruct members of the law teams to perjure evidence in this case and do so working together. And of course, why would Brian Koberger's defense team agree to that? Why, man, if I was on trial and my attorneys came to me and says, by the way, we got to agree with the prosecution to make a false statement in regards to how your DNA was found at a crime scene that led to you. Hell no, we're not gonna agree to that. We're not gonna agree to that. We're gonna fight that every step of the way. I'm not going to be considered a perjurer in my own case by agreeing to a story about my DNA. I'm not going to do that. But why is this okay? Dago? Why do people, like I've had people literally talk to me about this being okay. And even my brother, a federal prosecutor, said, this is absolutely not okay. Absolutely not. I don't know.
By no means is it okay, in my opinion. There's Megastar. Meg in the house. Good to see you tonight, Meg. Thanks for joining us. Matrix, welcome to you as well. In my opinion, okay, you are not allowed. Okay, first off, you're not allowed to say touch DNA. You're not allowed to say trace DNA. And I also referenced, hold on here. Let me get back up here. Contact DNA. This is 100% trace DNA, folks. Touch DNA. This is all it is. And I feel like they don't want you to say this to the jury because it minimizes it and it gives it, which is truly what it is. It's in a minimal amount of DNA. Okay. And they're afraid that if the jury hears this, they're not going to think that it's relevant in turn. And that's my opinion as to why they do not want it stated.
A part of this is the judge that's involved. Hitler, right?
No, it absolutely is. Yes. Yes, I agree. Welcome, Robert.
And I was watching the judge in the Utah case against Tyler Robinson, the Charlie Kirk case, and the judge immediately came out and says, hey, my place here is to speak as little as often and to put very little waves within what's happening in this courtroom other than ruling on the law itself. That's what a judge is supposed to do. They're supposed to rule on the law itself, not try to dictate. Judge Hitler literally took this DNA evidence into his hand and says, okay, I'm going to take control of this and it's going to be deemed DNA. We're not going to call it what it is. We're going to call this DNA, which screws Brian Koberger. Whether I believe this kid's innocent or guilty, Dago, DNA evidence is extremely important in a case. But if you can't explain what real type of DNA evidence it is, there's no safety net for Brian Koberger as a defendant. It only works for the prosecution. That's it. It only works for the prosecution.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah, the judge is involved for sure, Siggy. As far as involved in, over involved and shouldn't be. This judge has done things I've never seen judges do. Made statements they're not supposed to make. They're not supposed to interact like he did. The fact that when they brought forth the alternate perpetrator situation and he made the statement about the car, that was way out of line. The fact that he called at the very end, he did. He called Brian Koberger a liar. That's way out of line. That's not his place to do anything.
Well, a conspiracy theorist of a defense's expert witness.
Yes.
You call him a conspiracy theorist on national TV. Everybody was watching that on live open YouTube courtroom video. And some of us were actually in the courtroom when he did it.
Oh, yeah.
That's never going to be forgotten. And
no.
It just amazes me that my beautiful little wife just, as quiet and reserved as she is, when we walked out of the courtroom, looked at me and says, is Judge Hippler part of the prosecution team or is he a judge? I said, What do you mean? He goes, it sure seems like there was another prosecutor within that courtroom and no judge.
Exactly. 100%.
She nailed it right on the head, because that's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh my God, there's nobody here to actually rule on the law. There's only people here to try to prosecute Brian Koberger.
Agreed. Very much so. And this statement alone, this document alone, folks, this to me says how bad and corrupt this side all of this has been, because they're at this point absolutely trying to dismiss the fact that they don't have the DNA that they should have, okay, in a real case, in my opinion. So no, we can't call this trace DNA, touch DNA, contact DNA, because it minimizes what it is to the jury, and the jury's going to look at this, in my opinion, of course, and say, transfer DNA, contact DNA. Do you guys have any real evidence? That could be a problem with the jury, and they did not want that to happen. So that's why this document exists.
Pisses me off, Dago, because we're not idiots. And I'll tell you right now, the people listening within the jury box, when they hear this, let's say somebody does say transfer DNA, they're going to click to the fact this is not as solid of DNA evidence that's normally brought to the table. This isn't blood. It's not saliva. This is not the direct evidence that could be linked right back to Brian Koberger. This is potentially a movable DNA that could fly through the air. There's all kinds of ways it can get there. But they're also intelligent enough to inquire, discuss, and ask questions. So why should we take that out of their hands? Why should we take a discussionary point out of the jury's hands that they could legitimately use towards reasonable doubt or a benefit to Brian Koberger? We're taking that away and saying, no, you have to say this is DNA. That's it. That's all you can use. We've watched many cases, Dago, where they say exactly what type of DNA it is.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you, if this was solid DNA, if this was a solid DNA type, if this was blood, if this was saliva, if this was sweat, they would damn well say it.
Oh, of course they would.
But they don't have real DNA, and that's why they say you can't call it this, you can't call it that. You are just stating this is DNA because that's a solid way to approach a jury, is solid DNA. And it's not that. So anybody that wants to use this against Brian Koberger, that's foolish, because all you're doing is tricking yourself to believe that there was more to this than there really was. And, who was it? The people that did, no, it was Othram. The people from Othram said there was far more DNA than we even expected that's been released to you. There was far more. Really? Where is it?
Where? Exactly. Show some proof of that statement. That's an absolute bold-faced lie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
truly
Can you produce the sheath?
right.
Oh wait, you never saw the sheath, Othram. In your own words, you never saw the sheath. So how do you know how much actual DNA there was?
Exactly. No, very good point. Gary just says transfer DNA is not allowed in the military courts and in most of the world. Why? Well, because it's so unreliable and easily to transfer from person to person. Good point, Gary. Thank you very much. Very good point. Yeah, Robert, the link is pinned to the top. You can join us for a little bit if you choose. Absolutely. They never even did any serological test on the sample that they created the Q1.1 profile.
Well, I think that's another reason why they didn't want it to be named what type of DNA it was.
Right.
And that's why they tried to build this. I'm still stuck on this, Dago. Like, it just baffles me. Go build a story that we can tell a jury that's not factually based, led by the judge telling them to do this.
Well, that's the same judge that basically told the prosecution and the defense to work together to come up with a story to tell the jury about the tip. Remember that? That was another thing he said. This judge was so sideways in this case, it blows my mind. It's absolutely unbelievable. And like Lucy said, far more than they are used to working with. Right. Yeah, it's a joke. Very big joke. I'm sorry.
Well, that's why Othram isn't used to working with any. Weren't they new?
Well, yeah, and they were typically working on like cold cases and stuff like this. We know that they didn't get that much DNA, you guys. It's a lie. They were trying to make it sound good. They're trying to build it up. You know, they bring Stacy Chapin in as the face and the mouthpiece for the company, and they're trying to make this look good now. Like we're the new age. We're going to solve every case you put in front of us now, so on and so forth. Yeah, sorry, no, I don't believe that. And don't get me wrong. I'm grateful if Othram is able to help to solve these cold cases that have been sitting here for 20 and 30 years. That's fine, and Danny, so on and so forth. But the way that this case was handled, no, not at all.
No,
not at all.
Look, Dago, I got kind of a problem with Othram. Look, I'm diabetic, not diabetic. I'm adopted. These databases have been built with the privacy protections for people that want to find loved ones or connections to their biological families. I personally, I wouldn't have to worry about where I put my DNA because mine's in the federal database, it's in the state databases, all based upon my background and, my time served. So I don't have to worry about that. But people with clean records better darn well worry about this, because now Othram is admitting the fact that they're okay with their services being completely hidden and concealed and stories told in a courtroom, deferring the proof of what they did. Now it's a story. Why does that have to be that way? Dago, it should be tell exactly how we did it, why we did it the way we did it, and what that led us to finding.
Amen. I agree. And like Lucy said, Othram wasn't even accredited until they worked with this profile. And we know how this profile came about. Okay, you guys? It wasn't done legally. It wasn't done by the book, or by no means whatsoever. It wasn't done in a way that it should have been done. Okay. So your credentials are backed up by illegal actions. And that's how I'm going to say it, because that's exactly how it was, in my opinion. If they did no wrong, then why have they never turned over any of the Fed work? Thank you. Bingo. That's exactly my point, Lucy. There isn't any. There isn't any. That's why they use, and I say it this way. A lot of people disagree with me, but that's how I say it. It's what they basically did when they did this, and they went into Heritage and used that database. It's not a sanctioned database, in my opinion. Allegedly, okay, but this is what they did. They used an unsanctioned database to do what they did, took a shortcut, and came upon what they have. That's not how it works. It's not a tip, okay? It's not a tip. You did something wrong. You know you did. That's why there's no work to show. And they even told them, don't use this. Don't use this in your investigation, and guess what they did?
Are you talking about when they used the private genealogy sites the FBI did, which they weren't supposed to use?
Yes. Absolutely. Welcome, Robert. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yes, that's absolutely what I'm talking about.
Well, even more so, a better question, Dago. If Author wants to show how creditable they are in the way that they work to solve this case, a very good question for them would be, what about the other DNA samples off the very same sheet that they claim to have gotten Brian Koberger's from? Why were you not also testing and working on those profiles? And they're going to come back and say, well, they were never provided to us. They were never brought to us.
Right.
I have a different opinion than that. It's because they told you not to worry about those and to focus on this. And you've separated now your work to what they need and what should be done. So now you're no longer creditable to me.
Exactly.
I agree with you, brother.
Absolutely, 100%. Again, Lucy says MyHeritage no longer accepts digital uploads of profiles as of May of this year. And it definitely seems to be something that they stopped because of the transcripts of this case, in my opinion. I do agree with that, Lucy, because they were doing it before. Now all of a sudden they're not. That's pretty wild, don't you think? Just saying.
Extremely wild.
Yeah, it's a scary situation, folks, because it's that simple. Any one of us could go through the same thing at the drop of a dime, folks. It's that simple to do that.
I'll ask both of you, Dago and Robert, last real quick question in regards to this. Do you think Mr. Stephen Judge Hippler ever even saw a picture of the sheath at the crime scene or in custody bags of evidence? Do you think this man that's so-called telling them to go make up stories has ever even seen the source of the DNA?
Nope.
Then he needs to keep his mouth shut and quit creating lies and stories. He needs to force the evidence to the table.
Agreed.
That's justice. That's called justice. If you catch me, Dago and Robert, you've been in trouble before in your life. We all have.
Yep, exactly.
If you catch me red-handed, that's one thing. If you can prove I did it through your investigative techniques that are proper and done correctly, okay, I'll bite the bullet. You got me. But this type of investigation right here, this should make anybody and everybody underneath the constitutional law of the United States literally look at the mirror and say, I'm not even allowed to leave my house because I could be busted in a heartbeat for something I never did.
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Like, have we even heard what happened to the DNA on Mandy's fingernails?
No. What about the other DNA that was on the actual real, since they don't want you saying transfer, touch, or contact DNA, what about the blood DNA on the sheets? Where's that at?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Why do we not have the entire sheath sitting, being dissected for anything and everything on it? That's what they need to be doing, because that holds the key to the DNA evidence of what's considered to be brought from the outside to the inside, potentially the sheath to the murder weapon. You need every single fiber of DNA off of that to be tested, not only to find who could potentially be the perpetrator of the crime, but also who you can rule out based upon alibis and by corroborating evidence that they did not do it. Now you can simply just make the whole stack of people shorter. Now you've got, okay, there's 18 DNA samples on this sheet. 15 of them have checked out with alibis. We need to investigate 3 people and narrow it down to who did this, or maybe all 3 are the perps.
Well, just like the blood DNA that they found on the railing going down to the first floor. What happened to that?
That's a great question. You know, and all these things, when Brett was asked, when he was on the stand about did they run this other DNA through CODIS, so on and so forth? I'll never forget the answer that the man gave when he said, "Well, no, because we didn't. We were worried that we would lose the other stuff we had there."
Which is the biggest fictitious bull BS lie I've ever seen in my life.
It's
Like
ridiculous.
as if I don't know CODIS. Like I'm in every database of CODIS across the country. I guarantee it. Well, maybe not every state, but I'm in a lot. And they don't lose that. They run that stuff through CODIS all day, every day. All day, every day. DNA is being ran through CODIS.
Yes, and that's truth. I'll be honest with you guys, and I know Eddie agrees with this. He made a statement there. I truly feel at this point that all the other samples that they had are they no longer exist. They're gone, because then they can't ever go back to these samples and reference these and say, "Hey, at this point, at least, I'm sure that there's nothing left." Okay, because I believe that the defense would have been able to test these things, and of course, we had the whole bullshit story. Well, there was things left in the fridge that was left open, so on and so forth. That doesn't matter. It didn't need that. Okay. These are just dumbass excuses to be able to cover their asses as to why they're doing the things they're doing. That's what we've seen through this whole case. And there's yet another situation that worked out that way. Welcome,
so I'm going to double down on what you're saying, Dago. You just said that all the other potential DNA sources are gone and never to be found or be able to be tested. I guarantee you, on top of that, there's no Brian Koberger DNA to be found or tested.
I agree.
They're all gone. There's nothing. Nothing.
I absolutely agree with that.
I agree with you too, brother.
100%. And where'd it go? Sample's gone. The house is gone. And who is there to suspect? Thank you.
It's almost like a great shirt, Dago. Sorry.
That's
what
okay.
sheet, what house, what perp, what crime? I mean, it's like you have to go through a whole list of this to even be able to get to where you want to get in your thoughts. The house is gone, so there's no house. There's nothing left of the house to be able to be utilized at any point in time for evidence against or for anybody. There's no sheath in sight. Never has been. That's the number one evidence piece in this entire case, and nobody's ever seen it. So what sheath?
Exactly. Show me the damn thing.
There's no testing have been done on anything whatsoever. So if you tell me, well, Brian Koberger is the only perp, well, how were you investigating other people? Where's the evidence that led you to these other people? What is the evidence that you followed in your investigation to narrow this down to Brian Koberger? Because we know of somebody with a cigarette butt. What were you taking that cigarette butt DNA and comparing it to? Where's that at?
Right.
Exactly.
Where's that DNA at? We'd like to see that, please. Who's that to?
Agreed.
We're never going to see these things. And that makes me believe, and I hate to say this, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not here to try to say this crime never happened, and that's not me. But what I am saying is there's nothing that leads me to believe at all that an investigation even took place, because they haven't shown me proof. Nothing
at all. Agreed. They've never showed anything. Nothing.
Nope.
That Brian Koberger had any involvement in this case. Nothing, folks.
They haven't shown us that anybody had anything involved in this.
Right. Well,
show us something.
Well, see, I came in when AR was talking about the judge being on the prosecution team, and I agree with you on that, brother. Because if you look at it on the day of the sentencing, Brian had to go through the onslaught of the victim's family statements, especially the one from Olivia Gonzalez, and then you had the judge turn around and say, "I find no redeeming qualities in you."
Which, and that's at the same time that when people, because people were questioning, well, why did he not have to allocute or out, however you say that word? I always screw it up, but what I mean. No, allocute. State any bit of information about the crime as you are answering to these charges. And instead of saying the truth, which I believe the truth to be is because they know that he didn't do this, therefore there's nothing that he could provide them to answer those questions. No, instead they jump over that, make an excuse and say, well, would you believe anything he said? At this point, he's a liar, basically, so on and so forth. Allocute. I thought I said it right. Okay. And that's an excuse, folks, because they don't have that stuff because he didn't do this. Okay. He couldn't answer those questions, and they know that. That's why that didn't happen. Not because of that bullshit, but that shows you who Hitler is as a person. Okay. He created that statement, I guess you could say, because he knows there is no proof because Brian wasn't there. He cannot give that information. That is exactly how I feel about that.
And I can in return say, Dago, where you say people ask, how can we believe Brian or anything else? Say, well, I watched Brett Payne take the stand, and I deemed after watching him on the stand, I can't believe a damn thing he said.
Right.
I've watched a lot of the state people get up there and say things that were completely untrue.
Right.
I've listened to 1,000 different narratives being spilled by so many various people that were all untrue. And you want to ask if Brian Koberger, the man that said nothing other than I did not do it, I'm innocent, and you want to question whether he's being honest or not.
Well, and that's the thing is they question his honesty and this and that for everything else, but he was honest enough for you to accept his statement when you charged him and you asked him about these charges. You believe that, but you won't believe anything else he says. I'm calling the bullshit button on that one, folks. That's fact.
Well, I just, my whole point of it is, where are we basing the fact that he's a liar or untrue? That's another mainstream media narrative that was passed on. That didn't come from anything legitimate. It came from a mainstream media source that many people ran with. And then all of a sudden it's within the courtroom that, we can't believe what he has to say anyway. Well, Bill Thompson, when did you ever sit down with Brian Koberger and have a conversation where you could base your knowledgeable, background that he's a liar?
There is no basis, AR. That's the problem. Brian Koberger has never lied to the court, to them, to defense, to prosecution, to anybody about anything. One, he was never asked anything to the world that we know of, but he's never lied about anything. So you have no basis to call him that or to say that, other than the fact that you're charging him with these crimes that he was cornered into accepting the plea deal on. And that's it. That's your reason for that. That's insane to me. I'm sorry. Absolutely. And Lucy says that the issue is with CODIS that CODIS is 100% statute protected at all levels, federal, state, and local. Why isn't IGG? Exactly. And how is IGG not? If you can do it with CODIS, why can't at all the federal, state, and local levels? Why can't you do that with IGG? Explain that. That's bullshit again.
Hey, I wanted to ask you in AR something. I forgot what I was going to ask you. When Vargas was up there testifying, and of course, we all know the FBI had come to her house. She had made a very interesting statement that in CODIS you can leave one profile open, and then add stuff to it. Do you guys think that someone could have left Brian's profile open and then added like different DNA to his profile to make it look like he did it?
I don't know the entirety of the process. I've never been a DNA guru. I either knew I left DNA or the crime scene, or I didn't. That's how I fought mine in court. And just real quick, I had somebody actually message me that on one of the evidence lists, I guess, that's been released under S1 326. There's a picture from 1122 King Road of the knife sheath on the bed. The sad thing about that.
Where that's in this, it's in one of these new documents. Good. I want to see it.
So then S1 327 from King Road, close up of sheath showing straps.
So these are pictures that we haven't seen. Then okay.
I guess
Well,
so.
if they're in here, we'll look at them then.
I mean, I don't think there's actual pictures we're going to get to see, but there's evidently sheath in place, marker 14,
Okay.
closed up in front of sheath. So, somebody's sending me this as it's a list of evidence, but guess what? We're never, ever going to see the knife sheath pictures because the family sued and a judge decided that he would lock down that bedroom's pictures forever and always. And guess what? They did it because that's where the sheath was supposedly at.
And I'll be honest with you too. The sheath is truly, in my opinion, it's unimportant. I mean, there's no way that that's going to be proof to me, AR, at this point, because I want you to prove to me, because I know they won't. Even if they show a picture of it on the bed, when was that picture taken? Prove to me, unless it's proven, I'm not going to take it for anything, if it ever is. That's all I'm saying. Cat Lady just said, Dago, why didn't they take fingernail scrapings from the other two girls? And are you talking about Hunter Johnson? Anyone else they interviewed? I don't know. We were not told anything that they took from underneath Janice's fingernails, Kaylee's, Ethan's, or anybody else's. Is a good point. That's a good point. Because they didn't have to do that. Therefore, and I believe that if they would have done that, there would have been a little more truth exposed, and that's why we weren't told that. So, SRB says that it's not the actual pictures, just the listing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They sent me the evidence list.
Right. Yippee-ki-yay.
Dude, I can make you an evidence list tonight if you want me to.
Sure.
Prove that it's real or not real. You can't. There's nothing to factually base it upon, and we're never going to get anything from Moscow, the Idaho State Police, or from the feds that are ever going to show us a picture that goes with that evidence list. Ever.
Yeah, and why would we not trust? Okay. Considering that we know that they purchased the exact same things they claimed that Brian Koberger did. Okay. The knife, the sheath, the sharpener, and even the vitamins. If you show me a picture of a sheath laying on a bed, again, unless it's dated, time, and time stamped, and you can prove to me it's not the one that they purchased from Amazon themselves, I'm not going to believe this at this point. I'm sorry. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I watched an interview last night with Olivia Gonzalez, and the way she put it is the gag order really screwed everything up. To where if there wasn't a gag order, the information would have been flowing freely. But because there was a gag order, everything had stopped, and even they didn't get to see none of the stuff until after the gag order was lifted. She said she wished that Judge would have never put that gag order in place.
But I mean, my whole response to that, Dago, and I'm going to throw it over to you after that, is okay. So they claim after the gag order was lifted, they got to see the stuff that they got to see. They haven't seen anything different than we have. The Gonzalez family has seen nothing more than what we have.
I mean, that's what that's what we're led to believe. That's what they've stated. And I can believe it.
Well, the reason why I say that is because they're a part of the issue with making up stuff. 90% of the stuff, and I directly confronted Steve. I directly confronted the man because I was so heart and soul in my feelings. Why do you continuously make stuff up that we all know is incorrect? Why are you doing it? I'm sorry that law enforcement and the prosecution is not providing you with the answers of what truly happened to your child and the manner of which it happened and why justice is struggling to be served. But that's not a reason to come out here and continuously just spread misinformation. It's one thing to come out here and say, my opinion is, or this is what I think, like we do as YouTube content creators. But don't come out as a victim's family member and directly state that you know something is a fact that's not. And after that, I'll be very honest with you, he decided I was not the one he wanted to discuss the case with anymore.
Oh, I'm absolutely positive at that point. And the man even admitted at some point that he leaked things. There was things showing that he had asked people to say things that weren't true to spread a narrative. All of that stuff. Like, why would you do something like that in a case like this? That's you don't. Okay, and that's where there's no trust when it comes to that. At that point, I have to agree. So
here's one I asked him, Dago, and I want you and Robert to kind of stew over this one for a minute, and I'm going to lay it out and I'm going to grab a coffee. I directly approached Steve in a conversation. I said, Steve, I want you to legitimately answer to me what grand jury witness or what actual confidential informant were you approaching and trying to talk to, because both of those are completely against the law and illegal, but you come out and directly state it to the public eye as if it's truth, and yet you've had nothing come your way as of being in trouble for it whatsoever. So just clarify to me, Steve, who from the grand jury spoke to you about evidence from within the grand jury, which is against the law, and what confidential informant, and how you found that confidential informant's information for you to attempt to approach them, which is again against the law, and yet nothing has come your way from that. And you've publicly said it to everyone, which tells me, I'm sorry, I'm going to end it this way, tells me you're full of it.
No, that's a good point. I will say one thing. There was a report that I read. It made me believe that whole confidential informant statement he made, where he claimed that he was supposed to meet up with a informant or something like that at a hotel or something, and the FBI said, if you do that, you'll be arrested, so on and so forth. If I read the reports that I read correctly, that I do believe it's very possible that would be Molly McMichaels. The other two people in the grand jury that were supposedly spoken to about this, that, and everything else, that I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true. But again, why are these statements being made? What did you gain from making these statements? Other than to look like the person that you look like at this point now. Okay. And that's not a good thing. I will say that straight out of the gate. So was he going to meet up with Molly? Maybe. But how did you get that information? There's the problem, okay?
Exactly.
That's the problem right there. How did he get any of the information, whether it's true or false, or good or bad, that he was given? That person needs to be held accountable too.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's true, okay? And if it's not, then that's a whole lot of lies to be making up and interfering in a case where you should want the truth to know what happened to your own child. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about that.
Why is Brian Coverter the only one being held accountable for anything being done wrong when across the board from day one, we know of so much that has been illegally done and backwards done, and we see it, we're watching it, even with the newest thing with the cell phone or however they got the imagery of Brian Coverter in the penitentiary. That's a felony conviction. That's a felony, ladies and gentlemen. But Brian Coverter is the only one that's being held accountable for anything, and there's no proof he did it.
Exactly.
Yep. Very good point. Very good point. I do agree. I would say it's another leak from LA about Brian. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, that's a good point too. I said that myself, done one. Why were the G's even still investigating after Brian was arrested if they had their man? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure AR can agree with me on this. With what I've been through in my criminal history, normally they start the investigation before you're arrested, not after you're arrested. And this is the most back-asswards investigation I've ever seen. You know, like when I did my time, they investigated me before they arrested me. and then they brought the evidence. They brought the evidence in, not arrest me and then do it.
Well, that's what they seem to have done in this case completely. I've said that before, as they arrested this guy and built a case around him. 100%, absolutely.
Well, let's legitimately say this. They arrested this man and then began telling stories and narratives. There's never been any proof of any investigative technique that landed evidence against him. It has been debunked across the board. Every time they said something was evidence, there's been proof it wasn't.
Yep.
They built a narrative, and that's why their investigation took less than a month in a case that probably should have taken 10 to 15 years.
Oh, definitely. They way too quick for what happened in that aspect. Yes. Like I said, they had their guy and they started to build the narrative, like you said, and the case around him. Hence the reason why everything went down with the IDG stuff, the DNA and all that fact. So,
well, just tell me, anybody, either one of you two or anybody in the chat, when have you ever seen a defense attorney paid by the state, a public defender, at the crime scene before the defendant's even back in the state?
Never.
How has he been appointed an attorney if they haven't even gone through the process of figuring out whether he's indigent or not?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Very good question.
He hadn't been charged with the death penalty yet.
Right.
So how do you know he needs a death penalty eligible lawyer?
Yeah.
You don't. He hasn't been charged with the death penalty yet. None of that even made sense. I've been around the block. It took a long time for me to get a lawyer when I got back. When I was extradited and I got brought back, it took me at least a handful of months to get my actual lawyer. I had a stand-in lawyer at some of my hearings, but I've never, ever had my attorney at the crime scene prior to me even landing back in the state the crime was committed in.
Yeah, Tomboy brought that up at the very beginning and said that. And, you know, she's like, how in the hell does he have an attorney and how is she at the house and all this other stuff? The guy wasn't even in Idaho at that point. Nobody knew what was going on. So, yeah, very good point. Very good point.
Because if you look at it, Brother Dago and AR, you have a group of people in this courtroom that's all U of I graduates. Ann Taylor, Judge, well, I don't know about Judge Judge. I know he was married to a professor that taught at the U of I. Bill Thompson, Kathy Mabbitt. And I'm going to double down on what I said in the beginning of this case. Brian is sitting there surrounded by sharks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fact. That is fact.
And Brian Culver really messed up committing his crime in Idaho compared to Washington. Washington, he had so much better chance of getting even the case. If you have to do like a transfer of the case to another jurisdiction, you got better options in Washington. Yep. There is no death penalty on the table to have to combat. So you have a wide range of attorneys that can work on your behalf. You've got a lot more actual freedom and power within the state of Washington. Trust me, I have felonies out of Washington and Idaho both than you do in Idaho. There was no reason for him, if he was just a guy that was fascinated with females, blondes, they were all right there at Washington State, just as much so as they are at the University of Idaho. I'm telling you, there's beautiful girls at Washington State University. Beautiful girls. He worked there. He saw them every day. You know, none of this. It just doesn't work out in my mind.
And he would have known, Brian, and we know that based on his writings and stuff now, what he did know. He would have known that Washington did not have death penalty, that Washington, there were options. If he was going to commit a crime like this, that he lived in that state. It would have been so much easier and he would have gotten away with more in that aspect if he truly was the one that did this, which is a big issue for me as well, knowing those things. So, yeah.
I'm not sure what Phil means by this case was hotter than anything AR was charged with. I was actually charged within a conspiracy organized crime a RICO case out of Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado that had a little over 150 heavily affiliated people that were charged with a little over 50 murders of first-degree murder and also federal crimes. So I would say that they wanted to solve that one pretty quick, and there was a lot of people on the plate. I just happened to not be a very big player in that case, even though I was going to be charged under the RICO Act, and luckily I wasn't. At the end of the day, they dropped those charges against me. But I have been charged with cases that they wanted solved quick. Now, every case they want solved quick. So there's no difference between a quadruple homicide that Brian Coberter's accused of in Idaho compared to the Charlie Kirk case, compared to the Luigi Mangione case, compared to many of these cases across the country. They work them. You just have many agencies that literally work them correctly and within the actual means of the investigative techniques that are correct in nature and integrity and respect. And then you have what happened in this case where they cheated the system. They used the back door. They chose to go with the IGG back door faster than any other state has, because I truly, in my opinion, believe they were going nowhere with this case. And I even believe that utilizing the IGG, that they thought they were screwed even using that. And that's why they hid it so much at the very beginning. So
I agree with that.
I don't see, people want to throw at me. You're right. I have not been convicted of first-degree homicide. I have not. But have I got some second degrees and first degree other things on my history? Yes, I do. And I've been within some really serious investigations, and I've been very lucky in life that I either was not involved or didn't get convicted of some of the things that they were pursuing us for.
Sure.
So, and no disrespect, Phil, I always have the great respect for you, but they want to solve every case fast. This case, they just cheated the system to do so.
Because they didn't have any other way to do it. They had no other evidence. They had nothing. They still have nothing. They admitted to that without even admitting to it. Facts are facts.
I wanted to ask you and AR something real quick. Steve G said in a recent interview that people have been keeping tabs on Brian for him, and he stated that he knows exactly what's going on with Brian in the prison and everything else. Is there a rat or a leak there in the prison reporting back?
Absolutely,
Steve.
Bullshit.
Come on, Robert. Everyone. Every prison has leaks, man. It's all about the money.
Bullshit.
I like that. There you go.
That's my answer right there. Steve likes to try to talk big like that, but that's what I think about that. He doesn't. They're not going to tell him nothing. I'm sure there are leaks. Yes, he's not getting them. They're not going to give him.
I believe he's writing an inmate there. I believe that there's an inmate that's getting money put on his books, and they're sending Steve the little love letters with a little bit of information. I mean, it happens all the time. I've had it on yards I was on. It just is. Yeah, I don't know.
It happens. I've noticed, like I said, it's very hard. He was talking about that beforehand. He said, "Oh, I already have things planned for him as he goes in there waiting for him." It's all threatening conversation to try to sound important or I guess, put yourself out there. Yeah, and I don't fall into that. I don't believe in that. They know, of all people, AR is probably right. If it is true, that would be why or how, okay? But other than that, they're not telling him nothing. He's not special. They're not giving him special treatment just because he's the father of a victim. It doesn't work that way. And his brother is not in the same prison, by the way, you guys. His brother is in prison.
Completely different penitentiary.
Yeah, they're not in the same. There's no way in hell they would put those two in the same building together, folks. No way. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, he has a brother that's in prison, but not in that prison, folks. They will never put those two together.
I don't think he's housed in Idaho.
I don't think he is anymore either.
I think he's either Oregon or California, I believe.
Well, he
And
was.
Phil, I agree with you. It's much bigger than Brian Koberger. It's much bigger of a case across the board. They did sweep it under the rug and hide all of that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this goes way, way bigger than just Brian Koberger, that's why it's Brian Koberger. So 100%. And I have a feeling, you guys, with Phil saying that, with it being that much bigger, and knowing how in depth Brian is as a person and nosy, for lack of better terms, curious. Okay, the man even stated, it was in the reports, when he was arrested, he was asking the arresting officers about their jobs. That's how interested in what he does Brian was. Okay, and I started to wonder, and I still feel this way. There's no connection to Brian Christopher Koberger to anybody in Idaho. Nobody, folks. Not one person. Okay. He knows no one. He came there knowing nobody. He's there knowing nobody and was going to leave there knowing nobody. The man knew nobody from that area. There was no connection whatsoever other than somebody that he may have hooked up with after he moved into the place. Okay. In that sense, but none of the victims, there's no connection to the victims. There's no connection to anybody that's connected to the victims. Nobody knows this guy. He knows none of them. Okay. And that's important to understand with this. That's very important. Now, to go back to the point that I just forgot about that I was trying to make with this, I always do that when I start talking. That there's, Jesus, what was I going at? What did I start talking about, AR or Robert? Do you guys remember where I started at? What was said before that? Ah, shit. Well, I completely just lost my point.
We were talking about what was going on within the penitentiary system that would be feeding Steve Gonzalez information.
And then we move forward. No connection. No, there's no connection whatsoever. Shit. I'm trying to remember. I'll get back to it. I'll think of it and throw it out there here in a few minutes. With what Phil said about it being bigger. So that's there it is. So I do believe the reason why we know Brian Koberger at this point is maybe possibly because of his curiosity, his research, his investigative actions that he does. That Brian may have fallen into something possibly accidentally that he wasn't looking for. And being the honest person that the man is, being the criminology person that Brian is, maybe he brought something to somebody's attention and said, hey, this is going on, by the way, do you know this, that, or everything else? And they said, whoa, he can't know this. And there's your scapegoat. There's a reason to make this man a scapegoat in this position, in my opinion. Again, this is just very much speculative theory, folks, based on what we've seen. So
now, wasn't he studying cloud-based forensics?
Yes.
And with cloud-based forensics, wouldn't you be able to get access to like the webcams or the body cams in the cloud? Maybe possibly on the body cams.
If he knows what to do there and what he's doing, and maybe some of the labs he was in gave him access to things like that, very possible. Who knows? Like I said, he could have fallen into something as he was looking at it that he shouldn't have found, and that could be exactly why he's put into this mix. Okay, because at that point, think about it. If he were to go forward with anything after he's been arrested and accused of this, nobody's going to believe anything he says. Maybe that's the reason why Hitler is calling him a liar, because they're worried that he may say something. We don't need nobody believing this guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying this is all speculative theory, like I said, in my opinion, of course. It's quite interesting. Kaylee was working for a cloud-based internet security. I have questions about what Kaylee was doing with that company after we looked into it. I'll just say that much, and who that company truly is.
But I totally agree with everything you're saying, Dago.
Right. And I appreciate that, sir. Why has Ellie not returned Kaylee's electronics to this day? And just Kaylee's? That's interesting. I don't know. Hence, that could be the reason why I truly believe at this point, as far as targets go, that she was the target. Okay, or a target, definitely a target. I'll say that much. Not the house being the target, like the two lead investigators tried to say after the whole thing was said and done. They completely flipped their stories, folks. They had a target in the beginning of this case, and at the end, when they interviewed Thompson and Gilbertson and Payne, all of a sudden they don't know who the target is for sure. The house was the target, and then you got Thompson saying that this may not have been premeditated. That Koberger could have just decided to do this on a whim and right before he did it. Are you kidding me? What is wrong with this picture, you guys? I mean, doesn't anybody else question the fact that they had this completely spun around the other direction? Once they get Brian convicted and in prison for this, now it's okay to say, well, there really wasn't a target. It was the house. We don't know who or why. You're bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, because in the very beginning, first it was a crime of passion, and then it was a targeted attack, but we don't know if it was the house or the occupants. So yeah, I totally see where you're going.
And now at the end of this, you have them saying, "Well, no, we don't know. We don't know the target. We believe it's the house. We don't know why." But now, just shut up and sit down. You're lying. You do know, okay? You can't talk about it now. There's the issue, okay? And it's a whole bunch of bullshit, folks. It's absolute bullshit. I'm sorry. You can't change your story now. I'm sorry. Just because you got what you wanted, you don't get to do that. And think that everybody's just going to take your word for it and forget everything else. Yeah. Maybe Meg could be right. Maybe it is both. But don't deny what you said in the beginning. Don't try to change your story now. They absolutely said that this was premeditated, that Brian pre-planned all this and he put it all together in his mind. And there was a comment made earlier. They want us to believe that he's a genius and a moron at the same time. They want us to believe that he premeditated this and didn't at the same time. They want us to believe that Brian got dark hair and no hair at the same time. I mean, all of it. It's stupid, you guys.
Yes.
They have nothing on Brian Koberger in the case. They have nothing, folks. Nothing at all. And I am so fed up because they're still saying it. If this would have went to trial, there was so much more evidence that they were going to bring out. You're full of shit. There's nothing. At the end of this, when Bill Thompson was sorry, I'm almost done, Robert. I apologize.
That's okay.
At the end of this, when it was all said and done, and Brian accepted these charges, he didn't admit to them. He accepted them. Okay. When he accepted these charges and everything was said and done, and Bill stood up to give his statement, all the man did, and I said this earlier today too, the only thing he did was read from that piece of shit toilet paper roll PCA, because that's all that is. That's all he did. And we know that the PCA is absolutely irrelevant at this point. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't have any bit of information that's real anymore. That's all the man did and didn't say another thing beyond that. There's nothing. Nothing.
Bill Thompson's the one that stood up in open court in front of everybody and said that PCA isn't even relevant to the case anymore.
He also stood up and said that there was no evidence of stalking, no connection to 1122 King.
That's true. That's true. And yes, Ruby, that's true too. I know educated people are stupid in some areas. You got a lot of people out there that are like beyond smart, highly educated, but have zero common sense. So that's a fact.
Just like in those the interviews with Dylan and Bethany. Dylan's was 5 minutes long. Bethany's was longer. Yeah, and AR and I we broke it down together, didn't we, brother? Where you had Bethany completely blurred out. Her entire body was redacted. She was dressed in a yellow hoodie. She looked like a chicken. Because you couldn't see her face.
Right.
And Blaker was sitting there going, please, let's just start with the timeline. Let's just start with the timeline. Stick to the timeline. And that right there, he told me in the back of my mind, they're coaching these two girls through this entire freaking interview.
Every bit of the conversation was coached, in my opinion. All of them. And why? That's another thing, is those interviews were so short. Okay. So short. We just had 4 people murdered in the house that you live in, and you're going to sit and talk to these people for 5 minutes? Miss me with that bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't believe that either. There was no investigation in this case, folks. None. And it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Yeah, he did, Becky. Absolutely. Extreme Network's primary stockholders are BlackRock and Vanguard. That is interesting, Tonka. I did not know that.
Neither did I.
Very interesting. Maybe the person that's been touting the loudest against Brian is, hey, you never know. At this point, I'll believe anything, folks. I will believe anything at this point because you can't believe anything. Nothing. Truly. Well, if we compare it to the door knocking questions, the interviews were really long. Good point, Meg. That was ridiculous. I agree.
Because I watched something earlier today. I came home for about an hour, took a break from Uber, and I sat down and watched something. If Brian did this, why would he leave his backpack just laying out in the backyard after he supposedly left the house? That would be a key evidence in this investigation. You wouldn't leave a piece of key evidence like a backpack laying in the backyard.
No, you wouldn't. No, not somebody that has the intelligence that Brian has and has the knowledge of crime and criminology that he has as well. I agree with that.
And that made me think, well, maybe whoever did it, that backpack was insignificant to them because they didn't need it anymore. They brought in what they had to bring in and then just discarded it on their way out.
Good point. Good point. I do agree. That's very possible too. Very possible.
What are your thoughts, AR?
I wasn't paying attention. I'll be honest. No, I'm sorry. I was involved in some over on my phone. Sorry.
That's okay, brother. I still love you.
Jennifer says, for the love of God, I can't figure out why the Department of Justice is not looking at this. When it literally, looking at this when it literally all of America is talking about it still. That's a good point, Jen. Very good point. Welcome, Greg Merckx. Good to see you. For your information, Judge John Judge was 82 U of I grad, and I know I also graduated from there the same year. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Yeah, well, there you go, guys. And she's right. Yes, there are several other theories that make more sense than Brian. The solo ninja, more sense, not total sense. Just saying. But yes, you are right. Let me see here. All right, so I'll welcome Arcadia. Good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us, Greg. You as well, my friend. Redacted's in the house too. Tonka, welcome back to you. All right, so moving on to the next document. The state supplemental rebuttal disclosure regarding the penalty phase expert, Dr. Jason D. Gage. To the defendant, Brian Christopher Koberger, and counsel, Ann Taylor, comes now the state in the above titled matter and submits the following supplemental rebuttal disclosure to the defendant's supplemental response to request for discovery regarding the expert witness filed on January 23rd of 25 and consistent with the court's May 6th of 25 order on the state's motion for Rule 18-207 examination and extension of the deadline. It is anticipated that the state may call Dr. Jason Gage to offer rebuttal testimony at the penalty phase of the trial. If the defendant opens the door to rebuttal testimony during the guilt phase, the state would offer Dr. Gage's testimony prior, pursuant to Rule 7020305. or 05 of the Idaho Rules of Evidence. The state is attaching Dr. Gage's independent neuropsychological evaluation as Exhibits S1 and 2. Curriculum vitae and Exhibit S2 both filed under seal. This is dated on the 27th day of May of 25, signed by good old Smashley Jennings. And that is that for that. See, I think, in my opinion, that I think Brian's psychological evaluation should be withheld. I think that should stay under seal. Okay. The diagnoses that could be put out, yes, he's on the spectrum. Yes, he's got ADHD, and yes, he's got oppositional, or no, I'm sorry. It was ODD, I believe it was, were the 3 diagnoses. Sure, those can be put out there, but I don't think anything more than that needs to be put out. That's his personal information. And I think enough has been done to him in this case. There doesn't need to be anything else to make people try to look down on him with that. That's just my personal opinion. Just saying.
Yeah, I always call her Snatchley Jennings.
Trashly, Smashly, either way, she's not a good person, folks.
No.
She knows what she's done wrong. She knows about the misconduct that she portrayed herself in and that she was involved in, and she's 100% guilty in that aspect, in my opinion, of course. So let me see, did I have, what do we have now? Oh, that's the one I just had. I'm sorry, you guys. Next up, we have, let me see here. Again, thank you for joining us, Robert and AR, tonight. I appreciate you joining me up here. I'm enjoying the conversation for sure as we go through these. IME, good to see you tonight. IME says the state was playing games, throwing rocks and hiding their hands, and Hippa bitch helped them out. Sure did. Molly, good golly almighty. There's Molly. Thank you for joining us, Molly. Nothing half-assed says wouldn't surprise me. The school is heavily pro-Greek from what? Oh, they sure as hell are. I'm telling you that the Greek life runs that school, folks. Facts are facts. So,
yeah, just like Steve G said in a not recent interview, but how the school knew about the murders before they did.
well, yeah, of course.
He said he had to read about it in the book that Scott Green put out. So that shows you Greek life is prevalent there.
Yeah.
But what goes on at the school stays at the school, apparently.
And that's how they like it, too. That is how they like it. This is the objection to the court's request for the defense to submit a redacted copy of ex parte filing to the state. Oh, shoot. Gentlemen, give me a quick second here. Hold the phone for me. I have to grab something. I just spilled my coffee again.
Robert, take center stage.
You take center stage, brother.
I'm not good at center stage. You know this. I like being on the side stage.
Me too, sometimes.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody in the chat. I've been kind of just watching some of the names scroll by. It's many I haven't seen in quite a while, and some that I see quite a bit of. It's always great to see everybody.
Yes.
Robert, have you got any projects in the fire that you've been working on lately?
Just sleeping from working so much. But no, I was diving back into the Sebastian Rogers case in one of my most recent videos. And I mean, 18 months and they still haven't found the poor kid. Seth is still looking for answers, and I'm not thoroughly blaming Seth, but there's something about Seth that makes me scratch my head.
Well, they still haven't done anything about Summer Wells, and how long has that case been?
Oh yeah, I know.
I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these cases like this are just going cold, and it doesn't make sense that that's happening. But
I mean, the latest report on Sebastian is the police are saying that they're ruling out foul play, but it's an ongoing investigation, and the FBI has, I guess, came out and said that they debunked what looked like two flashlights by his window. They said it was a truck down the road. And they put a $50,000 reward out for Sebastian's safe return. But I mean, It's been 18 months. I mean, are they going to find him alive?
I promised Dago I'd never say anything bad about another creator, but maybe somebody needs to go talk to T-Rev, and he might have something to say. I know he was.
You're not bothering me with that statement at all. By all means, I can promise you that.
Well, I mean, I didn't get involved in the Sebastian Rogers case. I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel comfortable with that case and speaking about it appropriately. And it was such a tragic case, and I appreciated everybody that was willing to get into that and work that. And at the end of the day, some very good people got hurt by other people that were playing cards in that game, and they were doing it all for the money and for the glamour and the clicks and the people like you, Dago. I watched you put heart and soul into that case. And you got trashed by some other content creators. I could never, ever look at those people in the same way. I have no respect for them. I'm now watching a man that used to have maybe 80,000 subscribers, almost living out of his car like a junkie, driving around doing lives in the middle of the night. And I know he's flaky from that case altogether. That I won't speak on others, but that case tore at people's hearts. That case hit home to a lot of people. I'm actually glad I didn't jump into that mix because it became a circus, but it's damn well sad they have not found Sebastian Rogers and Vanessa Wells at this point.
Summer. Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
Wells, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I definitely did have my heart in that one. I still do. Again, for the simple fact that I have a child that reminded me a lot of Sebastian. And I was full bore, 100%. Still am. I just talked about it again yesterday. And I'm heartbroken over that one and that's when I stepped away. I had to step away when it went into that. When it went into that realm, I can't be involved in that. I was there for Sebastian and Sebastian alone. I was not involved. The drama to that was disgusting to me. It still is, and I didn't want anything to do with it at that point. So I had to step away from that full-heartedly.
I don't blame you.
I agree with that, Molly. I definitely agree with that. But not to go too far to the left, guys, again. This one here is the request for the defense to submit a redacted copy of ex parte filing to the state. It says Brian C. Koberger by and through his attorneys of record and hereby submits his objection to providing a redacted copy of his ex parte supplement to his motion to continue to the state. Notwithstanding this objection, Mr. Koberger attaches his proposed redacted ex parte motion and supporting declaration as directed by the court. Mr. Koberger has a fundamental constitutional right to a complete and accurate record of all proceedings to this case, and he must be allowed the opportunity to make a complete record in order to afford adequate appellate review in the event of conviction. And it refers to case law there. The ABA guidelines specifically instruct capital counsel to tailor any legal arguments to the particular facts and circumstances in the client's case. ABA guidelines 10.831 Hofstra L Rev at 1029. In this circumstance, the guideline required detailed information about why more time is required to complete the mitigation investigation prior to trial. Counsel must evaluate each potential legal claim in light of A, the unique characteristics of death penalty law in practice, and B, the near certainty that all available avenues of post-conviction relief will be pursued in the event of conviction and imposition of a death sentence. C, the importance of protecting the client's rights against latter contentions by the government, and the claim has been waived, defaulted, not exhausted, or otherwise forfeited. Commentary to ABA Guideline 10.8.31 Hofstra L Rev at 1030. One of the most fundamental duties of an attorney defending a capital case at trial is the preservation of any and all conceivable errors for each stage of appellate and post-conviction review. Welcome, Layla Lisa. Good to see you. Failure to preserve an issue may result in the client being executed, even though reversible error occurred at trial. For this reason, trial counsel in a death penalty case must be especially aware not only of strategies for winning at trial, but also of the heightened need to fully preserve all potential issues for later review. Emphasis added. Mr. Koberger has the right to a confidential defense mitigation investigation pursuant to Rule 1.6 of the Idaho Rules of Professional Conduct. Confidentiality of information. Counsel have an obligation to maintain confidentiality with respect to information relating to the representation of a client absent informed consent or implied authorization. This ethical rule is broader than attorney-client privilege. It protects, virtually everything the lawyer knows about the client's matter, regardless of the source. Defense counsel is therefore ethically bound to not provide the prosecution with anything that is not required by statute. In addition to the rules of professional conduct, the details of defense counsel's investigation are also protected by the attorney work product doctrine. Again, case law. It is essential that a lawyer work with a certain degree of privacy, free from unnecessary intrusion by opposing parties and their counsel. Proper presentation of a client's case demands that he assemble information, sift what he considers to be relevant from the irrelevant facts, prepare his legal theories, and plan his strategy without undue and needless interference. That is the historical and necessary way in which lawyers act within the framework of our system of jurisprudence to promote justice and to protect their clients' interests. Excuse me. Finally, in support of his objection, Mr. Koberger relies on his constitutional rights. The information contained in the ex parte filings fall under Mr. Koberger's right to a confidential defense investigation, which is part and parcel of his right to effective assistance to counsel. Again, case law. Counsel has a duty to make responsible investigations or to make a reasonable decision that makes particular investigations unnecessary. Both the Sixth Amendment and the American Bar Association's guidelines for the appointment and performance of defense counsel in death penalty cases impose obligations on defense counsel to conduct an unparalleled investigation in preparation for the penalty phase of a capital trial. As required, the mitigation investigation requires extensive investigation into personal and family history. Again, case law. Jury may have returned different verdict had it heard mitigating evidence that trial counsel did not investigate and uncover. Case law again. A decision not to investigate information that could bear on the penalty phase of the capital case, thus, must be directly assessed for reasonableness in all circumstances. Counsel's partial presentation of a mitigation case suggests that their incomplete investigation was the result of inattention, not reasoned strategic judgment. Mr. Koberger has an Eighth Amendment right for the jury to make an individualized sentencing decision with regard to life or death. That means each juror must be able to consider all mitigating evidence about the defendant's character and life history. Again, case law. Consideration of the character of the defendant is a constitutionally indispensable part of the process of inflicting the penalty of death. Case law again. Virtually no limits are placed in the relevant mitigating evidence a capital defendant may introduce concerning his own circumstances. Case law again. The Eighth Amendment requires that the jury be able to consider and give effect to a capital defendant mitigating evidence. The question is simply whether the evidence is of such a character that it might serve as a basis for a sentence less than death. Ex parte pleadings are important for the court understand How much investigation remains outstanding in the evidence? I'm sorry. I just completely lost my place. My apologies. Investigation remains outstanding and the importance of these areas of investigation before the trial date. Sorry about that. Specific avenues of mitigation and investigation that remain outstanding in this case have been the cause for reversal in other capital cases because the jury did not have all relevant information in making its individualized sentencing determination pursuant to the Eighth Amendment. And we all know that that's how this was going to go, folks. They weren't going to be given everything. Just like in Delphi, that jury was not given even a quarter of the true evidence in that case, folks. That's what was going to happen here. Here we are again. Counsel cannot discuss the specifics of the ongoing mitigation investigation in open court in front of the state and public. The ABA guidelines specifically direct counsel in the capital case to request resources ex parte and in camera because the defense should not be required to disclose privileged communications or strategy to the prosecution. 1 second. ABA guidelines at 1004. Counsel intends to keep detailed records and lists of everything that remains incomplete due to lack of sufficient time to continue the investigation. In the event of a conviction and death sentence, this will ultimately become the blueprint for post-conviction counsel's claim that Mr. Koberger received ineffective assistance of counsel and did not receive an individualized sentencing determination as the Eighth Amendment requires. Counsel should have the opportunity to share this information with the court ex parte, so as to not leave the court guessing about the grounds for the reversal that will exist. Making a complete record about what remains to be done in the mitigation investigation, including what avenues of investigation are still ongoing, including known witnesses and records that remain outstanding and emerging mitigation themes and require complete investigation and may require expert assistance. Will inevitably reveal significant defense strategy, work product, and information gleaned from confidential attorney-client communication. It would require the defense to reveal the theories of defense at the penalty phase, the results of investigation or consultation that has already taken place, and information that is anticipated to be gleaned from the witnesses and records. The state is not entitled to this information about the defense's confidential investigation. Prosecutors have an ethical and legal obligation to seek justice over convictions. Case law. Idaho Rules of Professional Conduct, IRPC. Rule 3.8, Special Duties of a Prosecutor. When the defense counsel requires a continuance to complete the constitutionally required mitigation investigation, the state has no legitimate interest in objecting. For any conviction and or death sentence obtained under such circumstances would rest on a constitutionally defective foundation. It's interesting, though, very interesting, though, in my opinion, that Hitler denied the continuance that Anne had asked for multiple times. It was truly and completely denied, so keep that in mind as well. As such, courts reviewing death sentences have recognized that when attorney error amounts to constitutionally ineffective assistance of counsel, that error is imputed to the state, again, case law, for when a state obtains a conviction against a defendant who was denied the effective assistance of counsel. It is the state that unconstitutionally deprives the defendant of his liberty. Case law again. Other proceedings, such as those related to funding, are permitted to occur in ex parte fashion in order to preserve confidentiality. Sorry, guys. The comprehensive information about the entirety of the ongoing mitigation investigation would contain significantly more information than would be contained. Welcome back, Fizzy. In a funding request for an expert, there would no logical consistency to allowing funding requests to proceed in such a manner, while simultaneously requiring counsel to reveal the full mitigation investigation and strategy in order to secure adequate time to complete the investigation to constitutional standards. Good Lord, this is long. Thus, in order to maintain confidential communications and strategy and make a complete record to this court demonstrating the need for additional time to investigate Mr. Koberger must be permitted leave to file an ex parte brief and, if necessary, have an ex parte hearing about the outstanding mitigation investigation. This court has authority to permit an ex parte filing, even in the absence of explicit statutory authority. I wish Tomboy would join us and help me read this shit tonight. Whew. Doing so is necessary to protect Mr. Koberger's constitutional rights, and constitutional rights always reign supreme over state statutory schemes. Moreover, because there is a special need for reliability and fairness in death penalty cases, the Eighth Amendment does and must apply to the death penalty with special force. Case law again. Heightened constitutional obligations. Good God. Okay, we're almost done. Thank the Lord. Apply in death penalty cases because a life or death decision is a qualitatively different from decisions involved in any other kind of case. Case law again. In nature, quality, and gravity of death cases make the defense of capital cases fundamentally unlike any other type of legal endeavor. Case law again. Things that may be perfectly acceptable in ordinary murder trials may not pass constitutional scrutiny in capital cases. Time and time again, the U.S. Supreme Court has condemned procedures in capital cases that might be completely acceptable in an ordinary case. This court must afford heightened constitutional protection in favor of the defendant when interpreting requirements of the state and federal constitutions as applicable to this case. Signed, Ann C. Taylor. And in a nutshell, folks, we know what that document stated, guys. Excuse me one quick second. I have to refill my cup.
Anything to say on that, Robert?
Yeah. God, she can write.
I agree. I mean, this is the normal Ann Taylor that we were used to seeing. I don't know why towards the end of the case she just kind of
felt
took
defeated.
the back seat a little bit, but
she felt defeated. Yeah, when I saw her towards the end of all this, she looked really defeated, because a lot of her stuff was getting either shot down or denied by Hitler.
I agree.
Yeah, that's
Diego, where are they? Why am I not able to find these documents? What am I doing wrong? They're way back. Yeah, they're way back. Never mind. Now I see why.
Mm-hmm. You got to scroll way down. Oof. Hold on a minute here. Okay, so this here.
So this must be discovery.
This is Exhibit F. Defendant's 6th supplemental response to discovery under seal. Let's see here.
Trunk contents, photo of goggles.
Yep.
Weather on the 14th and 15th, which I believe that's when he was making his drive across the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. 14th or December. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So that's probably why they're wondering why he made a diverted track through different states, I'm assuming. MPT press releases, those are all just false info all the way through those.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's all that is. More propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is the defense's evidence, right? Did I read that right? Defense
defendant's 6th supplemental response to the discovery under seal. Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, their exhibits by the defense are now being disclosed in discovery in abundance of caution. So they were going to utilize all the press releases as part of their case. They were going to introduce the weather about his drive across the country as a part of
Right.
their case at trial. Trunk contents and goggles is interesting. They were going to
Yeah.
introduce that.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's good that they were going to bring all the press releases because there was so much false information released on those. They had to call that out.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have to agree because I said the same thing to you, AR, after that one hearing. Tonka said when Ann's mother passed away, her entire demeanor changed. I think there were probably several contributing factors. Yeah, and I agree with that, Tonka. Because remember, AR, I told you, I said she had just buried her mother 2 days before this hearing when I had spoken to you that one time. And you could tell. It was like the wind was completely let out of her sails. Okay.
Well,
And-
the hearing that was that she was crying in the courtroom.
Right. So there you go. There you go.
Yep.
And that was just days. That's when I actually learned that her mother had passed. Somebody in the courtroom that I met, one of our I think she subscribed to you as well, informed me that she had learned of that. And that's when I learned of that. And she was the most standoffish in the courtroom, where Massoff and Biccabarlo were very connected with Brian, and they were talking and engaging and back and forth. Ann Taylor was very distant, very to herself, tearful, cryful, and just not very strong voice. That's why Massoff and Biccabarlo did almost all the talking right there.
Yeah, and it makes sense, you know. And it's sad that happened because I think they kind of took advantage of her persona at that point and what she had gone through and the weakness that she was exhibiting, which is very horrible to do. But I think they did.
In many cases, that would be a continuance in its own self with a judge that actually is honorable and actually believes in family ethics and morals. He would have continued the case at least a little while for Ann Taylor to be able to regroup and get herself in order.
Yeah. Maybe a week or two.
I agree with that fully. Even more, you know.
Yeah, even if, I mean, all it takes is Brian Coburn saying, yes, I believe that there should be a continuance. I'm willing to sit in jail and wait so that my attorney can get herself put together. I mean, they've asked me that before. You know, your attorney's requested a personal continuance. Are you willing to waive, any time on the case? Yeah, absolutely. Brian would have for her too, no doubt.
I agree.
Yep.
Hold on here. All right, that's a little too big. The following items have previously been disclosed as exhibits by the defense. The defense intends to use these as demonstrative aids in trial, although typically not discoverable. The defense is disclosing these items in discovery as a courtesy and in abundance of caution.
You can see where they were doing the DNA transfer in the University of Idaho case.
Ballard.
Yeah, these are discovery item number 47 through 55. Exhibit D, 642, 794, 95, 841, 850, 851, 852, 866, and 879. And again, this is connections to the demonstrative exhibit. Ballard PowerPoint DNA transfer in the University of Idaho case. The Ballard PowerPoint understanding DNA transfer in the Shuttler PowerPoint. Bright Birnbaum PowerPoint taking inked fingerprints. The Bright Birnbaum PowerPoint ACE methodology. Bright Birnbaum comparison to exclude PowerPoint. Barbara Wolf, MD, and then the Cy-Ray PowerPoint, which was not allowed. Sadly, nor was he allowed to speak or stand up for himself. Still pisses me off.
Yeah.
And again, the following items have previously been disclosed as exhibits by the defense, although these items are summaries of discovery previously disclosed by the state. The defense is disclosing these items in discovery as courtesy and in abundance of caution. We have 56 through 61, 830A, through 833. The nodal video overall house, the nodal video third floor. This is what the video of the home was before they tore it down. Third floor again, the nodal video third floor slow, the nodal video down 1, and nodal video Dylan 2. Interesting. I would have liked to have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Really would have liked to have seen that. And then we have continued 62 through 78, 833A through 1048. Again, nodal video with Dylan 3, nodal video Dylan 4. Nodal video Xana exit 2. Nodal video from kitchen. The hallway look around the model. The hallway look around no model. Exit Xana. Bethany, Dylan, Ethan, Kaylee, Madison, Xana timeline. Slovinsky 11.1322 handoff. The BK call and VTM with Slovinsky. Slovinsky geofencing report. Again, Slovinsky July 9th pool party. Slovinsky July 12th mountain hike. Slovinsky cast final report analysis. Damn. The AT&T breakdown data. The Excel Wi-Fi status Koberger phone jury version and condensed version of D1048 and the Wi-Fi status Koberger phone full. This was defense, folks, okay? And I think just seeing some of this stuff, okay, they were at least somewhat prepared.
Yeah.
They were going to be, yeah. I mean, and then we have, again, discovering items 79 through 89, 473 Exhibit D, 473 through 1057. Photo, the Pleasant Valley District Office. Photo at the Pleasant Valley Security Office. Photo exterior of 119 Lambsden Drive. IMG 7580 at DeSales. IMG 7585 from DeSales. The paternal genogram. The car accident reports. The PA education writing reports. Brian Koberger report card. Statement from the Koberger family from January 1st of 23. Interesting. So they definitely had something to back Brian up in this aspect.
Yeah, because if you look at it on the defense's side, Catherine Ramsland was going to testify for the defense.
Right. I think she was there as a character witness, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I make out of his sister Amanda being on the prosecution witness list.
I think that was a scare tactic, Robert.
Okay.
I don't think she was going to testify to anything, but I think they put her on that list in case they were going to try to pull that. But I think that because the witness lists are shared with each other, with both sides,
Mm-hmm.
that they were showing that, putting her on the list, and they were going to show that to the defense to try to scare him, or they did. That's just my opinion.
Do you think that's why he took the plea?
Some of it could be part of it. Could be part of the reason. Welcome, Krista.
Hey, Krista.
All right, and that's that, guys. And that was their sixth response discovery. I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. Lucy says absolutely not. That is not why. Okay.
Okay.
I listen to what Lucy says. So.
Yep. So do I.
I still stand with my assessment. I think Brian Koberger took a plea bargain because he's waiting on other evidence to be brought forward, to be tested, to be utilized by other investigative techniques like the Innocent Project can offer, like other investigators could offer into this case. which could open doors and open eyes and create reasonable doubt. And at that point, then if other perps are brought to the table, then Brian Coburn could potentially either win a reopened case where the death penalty will still be removed, because now it won't be as simple to get the death penalty put back on, and he'll be able to fight for his innocence and possibility his freedom.
From my understanding, they can never reintroduce the death penalty in this to him at all. That's how I understood it.
There's some ways that they can. If he appeals and the judge is willing to award him one of the rare appeals that he has a very narrow chance of getting, it would re-implement the death penalty and they would restart the case as if it had never been stopped. However, if it's brought back because there's new evidence or there's possibility of his innocence because others have been found to be deemed as the perpetrators, then no, the death penalty, he would not be eligible for the death penalty, because that would lay in the hands of the prosecution being at fault for what happened, not Brian Coburn. And at that point, they would have the opportunity to just dismiss the case altogether,
right,
and be filed against the new perpetrators, or they could continue with the process of trying to convict him, but he wouldn't be death penalty eligible at that time.
Right. And Lucy said that Amanda Koberger had been on that list since April of 25. And there's a link too with it. But she said it's literally because Molly's story changed and someone leaked her name and it hit the media. That makes sense. The 24th supplemental request that was filed right before all this went down, if you guys remember, in June.
Yeah.
This is the reason more than any other issue. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate that very much.
So
I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I just guessed at that as why could that happen, you know?
If you could explain that to me, Dago, because you seem to be kind of in agreement in regards to the Molly statement. Well, first, if you can simplify it for me in the story changing, because I don't know the original compared to the end.
Well, okay. So at some point, we all saw that video came out of Molly when she got tagged for the DUI or D, whatever it is, while you're under the influence of drugs or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
She was taken into the station and she puts that video is put out. She's sitting in there talking and she's like, I'm the DoorDash driver, you know, and I have to testify that, you know, in the Koberger case or whatever, said that she saw Brian. Okay. Now, I don't know exactly the statement that she gave them initially. But then she came out and stated that she never saw Brian. She changed her story, okay? And admitted that it wasn't true. And that she had stated it somewhere that she was parked in the back parking lot, that he was parked right next to her, and all this other dumb shit. And it turned out it wasn't true at all, okay? The report written by MPD on the 23rd of November of 22 that Molly never saw Brian. There it is right there. They are. She never saw Brian. Matter of fact, she described a tan car and a red or blonde spiky-haired man, which in turn, AR, if you were following that at that point, sir, I pointed out one of my shows, the unmarked police car with the two plainclothes police officers that were at the Banfield the night of the crime, okay, was Officer Rosendahl and Tesdale. One had spiky red hair, and again, the car, which Brett Payne proved when he did the test himself in the documents that we saw in the reports, the car that they drive, it was the same car he used underneath the street lights and stuff, looks to be a tan sedan. It's a silver vehicle, but it's a Ford Fusion. It's a tan. It looks tan. And they drove in that area, circling that area that night, the same way that they had claimed before that Brian was doing, okay? And Payne did this himself. So this is the statement that Molly makes at this point. So thank you, Lucy, for putting that up there. And so after that, she said, this is a huge issue, which truly, yes, it is. And before that, Molly had stated that she saw Brian, that he was parked next to her, and that, you know, that whole dumb shit. She was seeing somebody's, you know, back and forth in the window from the third floor, the whole mess of stuff that she said. So, and it's, yes, thank you. It's MPD narrative, supplemental narrative 104. for anybody that's
I'll
interested.
I'll have to look into that. That probably was when I was kind of on my hiatus with some different surgeries, maybe even in the hospital. I know I saw the videos and people that were doing those. I just didn't dive too much into it. And James Moen, it's always great to see you. Thanks for joining us over here. Missed you, my friend. I know you've been working hard. It's great to see you as well.
It is great to see you, James. Thank you for your support tonight. We appreciate you. But again, that's the question of the year. Why did Molly's story change? That's interesting, isn't it? And when?
Because she got coached. That's what they do, man.
Yes,
that's what they do.
Exactly. I think that was the whole point. Remember, she stated that she's friends with Bill Thompson. Remember?
Yeah.
It's obvious they had interactions. Molly is obviously a CI, folks. That a conclusion I came to long ago. Many of them are. Many of these people are CIs. This is what Bill Thompson does. You know, he doesn't convict people. He makes them work for him. And yeah, it's interesting. And also produced this arrest footage. Are they involved in her? Oh, wait, did I miss something? Oh, there it is. Yeah. And the person that leaked her name to the media and also produced this arrest footage, are they involved in her news story? Very good question, Lucy.
So somebody enlighten me and maybe educate me a little bit. So the Molly situation, I know it just came out of nowhere, but evidently that body cam footage had been released way back when by one, station or channel on YouTube or some of that nature. And then it got re-released, from what I understand, by an individual here recently.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when everything really kind of blew up and started to change?
It kind of, yeah. That's when the shit kind of hit the fan, and I have to wonder if that's exactly why right there. Yes. She said death is different. People really do not understand this. Like a death penalty case is absolutely different than any other case. That's true. The issue is that the report of what she saw, the MPD supplemental narrative 104, is 100% not what she said in September of 24. Exactly.
But how would this lead to Brian Koberger pleading, considering they would have been able to utilize this very testimony back in 2022 and then bring her to the stand, and they would be able to pretty much prove that she either lied then or she lied now? That would be a great interrogation tactic by both Massoff and Ann Taylor that could create doubt. So why would that lead to a plea bargain?
Well, I'm not 100% on that, AR. I can't give a full deal answer. I'm going to leave it to Lucy if she's got an idea as to why. And it hit the mainstream media on June 13th of 25. So think about
Lucy.
Look at the date.
Did she say she could identify him, like by picture, did she pull him out of the lineup?
She said she saw him initially, but then she changed her story. And then she said in the month of May of 25, Dateline leaked discovery, June and July, and that we have, books on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
it's called Bias. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, no, I get the timeline. I know the narrative and how it all. We were all together when all the BS was being thrown in. My only question, because I have a lot of personal experience of both signing a plea bargain, but also being pushed to sign a plea bargain. And I just, in my personal opinion, just don't think that Molly McMichael, or whatever her name is, would have been the reasoning behind signing a plea. If it's very visual that she changed her statement, I think that would be a benefit to Brian Koberger, and I'd push to go to trial with that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Hey, Whitney, good to see you. This is the first time I've seen Whitney here.
The whole key going to trial, one, you got to, this is just from what my attorneys obviously always communicated with me. I'm not an attorney, so I can't act as if I know as an attorney what I would do to go put on, especially a death penalty case at trial. I would have no idea. But I would feel, from what was explained to me, the very key one that a defense attorney has to make sure is the prosecution can put on a case and actually prove the case that they're putting on in the court of law. And one thing that the defense is very strategic in what they do as that prosecution is putting their case on for all to see, including the jury, who I call the decision makers. Ann Taylor, Massoff, and entire defense team are going to be scribbling every single detail down on a notepad that she states on the stand, and then she's going to utilize everything that was said prior to this to prove that she's a liar. She's going to get discredited as a witness, and the jury is going to, one, feel it at the moment, but two, Ann Taylor is going to drive that point home, not only then, but every time she gets to make a statement, she's going to reissue the fact. You do know the eyewitness, and she's going to say it to every officer that takes a stand, any officer that took her statement, any officer that investigated or followed up on things she had to say. And then in their closing statement, they're going to just keep reinforcing the BS. And that's why I struggle with the fact that even with the guiding timeline, I struggle with the fact that that would be what pushed a plea bargain into place. I just don't feel it.
Where'd Dago go? It's just us two up here.
Well, Dago said, "To hell with this, I'm out." Take over the show, boys. I don't agree with what you have to say, AR. I'm out of here.
Well, you know, I agree with a lot of stuff that you say, brother.
Sorry about that, guys.
When you say there's not a single chance in hell that Ann's trial consultants would have told her that they might beat this.
All right, so here's supplemental number 104 from MPD when they drop these reports. Hold on here. Okay, this was written by Brett Payne. Okay.
You might drop in that comment down so I can see it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. All right, so real quick, thank you, Lucy. Again, I think this is 104. She says real quick here before we read this. In early 24, Latos residents said they think that if not convicted, that they feared people would burn down the courthouse. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, and I do remember that. And that was something that was stated a long time ago, you guys. When I was bringing up the threats, so on and so forth, that there was a fear that if he didn't take this, you know, that there were threats made. Yeah, that you better take this or else. You better, you know, cop to this or else. Things like that. And again, I've said that no matter what, guys, he was going to be convicted no matter what happened. I think Ann knew that. There was no chance. But I'm going to read this in regards to that situation. Okay, this was, again, MPD supplemental number 4, supplemental report. Brett Payne wrote this. And the narrative with this is interview with Molly McMichaels. WatchGuard event, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And this is the narrative on this says on November 23rd, that's my birthday, of 22, at approximately 20:39 hours, Molly McMichaels came to the Moscow PD to be interviewed about her presence in the area of 1122 King Road. Now, understand something, you guys, real quick. Initially, we were told at the beginning of this case that the DoorDash driver voluntarily turned themselves in within the 24 to 48 hours and cooperated fully. We were always told that. That is not what happened with her. I'm pretty sure that they had to do a trap and trace to find her. Okay? If that's, and I know Lucy will correct me. I know that if I'm wrong. But from what I remember reading and all that, I do believe that's how they got to this person. She didn't voluntarily do shit. So that was another lie that they told us in the beginning. So just saying. Where are we at? During the early morning hours of November 13th to 22, Molly was identified as being in the area through records obtained from DoorDash via a search warrant and was confirmed as being in the area based off of a Google geofence warrant. So there's your answer right there, okay, as to how they came about her. She didn't turn herself in and volunteer information at all. And was confirmed as being in the area based off a Google geofence warrant, which was obtained as a result of this investigation. I was accompanied by FBI Special Agent Alex Skelton during this interview. Molly told me that she worked for 12 to 18 hours on the night, November 12th through 13th, and received 3 orders in the King Road, Queen Road area. 2 of the orders were at the blank Queen Road apartment complex, which is immediately to the east of 1122. Molly said the delivery at 1122 was her final order for the evening, and Molly said that she could not find the 1122 King Road address as the address number was hidden by the porch light, which caused her to remain in the area for approximately 15 minutes. Molly also stated that her Google, which is not true, by the way, you can see it clearly in my opinion, but whatever. Molly stated her Google Maps told her to go to the parking lot immediately behind 1122 King Road. And I know that to be true because I Googled this almost 3 years ago, and it takes you to King Road to another house altogether, which we never understood until after the fact. It's because of the new construction to the house where the back door actually truly used to be the front door and everything was changed around. But anyway, that way people will understand. Molly stated she initially parked in the front of 1122 King Road and could see a female in the top left window, the 3rd-story bathroom. Molly said that she saw the same female a couple more times in the same window, and she would duck down when Molly looked at her. Molly then said that she drove to the back parking lot behind 1122 and parked. She stated she could see the back courtyard area behind the house and noticed that all of the lights in the house were on. Molly stated her map told her to walk into the back of the house, but she did not feel comfortable doing so because there was no path. Molly said that she started to walk down the road, which runs north-south immediately to the east of the residence. Molly stated a tan sedan drove next to her while she was walking. Molly said that there was one male driver and noticed that he did not look at me. She said that he looked completely zoned and just drove by her. Molly later stated the driver was white with blonde or red spiky hair. Molly also stated that the dome light in the car was on when it went by and later told me the male was wearing a light colored collar shirt. Molly stated that she walked back up to her car and drove back to the front of 1122 King Road, at which point that she saw the address numbers. Molly said she placed the order at the front door, took a picture, and then left at approximately 0400 hours. This is all not true, by the way. We watched the video. If that's Molly that we see walking on the road and all the time when the car comes and goes, we know it's not true and it's not exactly how this happened. During the time that Molly was in the area of the King Road residence, the white Elantra can be seen via blank King Road camera driving back and forth on Willenta Drive and then enter the King Road, Queen Road loop at approximately 0356, and this is not true as well. Hours. At the point Molly pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind Molly. Blatant lie, okay? Molly's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester, and then exited the King Road at approximately pulled in behind Molly's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester, and then it exited the King Road at approximately 3:58. Molly did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. I continued to question Molly about her time near the residence. She told me she walked down Queen Road at one point with her flashlight out. Molly can be seen doing so on the footage from blank King Road, 1112, I think it is, sorry. Molly also continued to tell me the female she saw in the upstairs bathroom window would duck down when Molly looked at her. Molly described her as having long brown hair. Molly stated she could not identify the girl as one of the victims. Approximately 30 minutes into the interview, S.A. Skelton requested Molly take part in a cognitive interview. Molly agreed, and Skelton began the cognitive interview. During this interview, Molly confirmed much of the information she already told us. Molly was able to remember that she had her dog with her during one of her walks in the area, but did not clarify much more in the ways of the details of the evening. We thanked Molly for her cooperation, offered any support she may need, and concluded our interview. Subsequent investigation of video footage and cellular data showed the tan sedan Molly saw was likely a light-colored SUV. Not true. Which left the area. Moreover, it does not appear Molly saw the white Elantra at any point during her time near the residence. There's your lie. I certified, declare under penalty of perjury, blah blah blah. You guys know how that goes. And this was signed by and reviewed by Blaker after being done by Payne. So there's your lie right there. There was no white Elantra. There was no car. She did not see that. She saw the only vehicle she saw there. I don't even think that there was an SUV. We don't see it in any of the footage. Okay, so the vehicle I believe she saw is the unmarked police car, and she saw Officer Tesdale. So there's a blatant lie right there. So again, Lucy, I don't understand this. I think that's the question that AR was trying to ask. She says, question. So Molly saw a light SUV. Where the hell is it on? That's what I mean. She didn't see anything. That's their lie that they added to this. Okay.
Yeah.
They lied. She lied. There's lies falling out of everybody's ass. Okay. So again, in turn, how would this negatively affect Brian's case?
I mean, that's my point, is they're going to dissect this on the stand, and they're going to hold her accountable to this very sworn statement.
Right.
So, it states right there, I certify or declare under penalty of perjury. So if she takes the stand and testifies to something different, well, now which one's the perjury? I mean, trust me, it's ridiculously bad across the board. And this is a horrifically bad witness to begin with. I mean, I don't even think she would want to take the stand. If she did, she can't be creditable for one, and two, it gives away the fact she's a confidential informant. That puts her at a little more risk. Who else is she told on?
Right. She says that it's biased, and I know what that means. So,
no, I do understand. And look, if you stack the deck as much as the deck was getting stacked, could this be a tipping point that all of a sudden this lady's out there and here we go, we got a witness? I guess potentially. And that's the difference of opinions is always greatest knowledge, because we can discuss this, come to a common ground, and better understand it from all angles. I just tend to disagree. I don't think this would be the swaying factor for a plea bargain.
Yeah.
Right. I got you. She said the signature on that is for Payne, not for Molly. Interesting.
Well, and that makes sense too. I do. I understand.
Supplemental.
They would want to hold the narrator of this actual statement, the one writing the statement, as they take it, as the person that's honestly putting this together. So I get it. I mean, I get that too. But
yeah, the 104 is signed by penalty of perjury of Payne, not Molly. Right. Got you.
Yeah. So think of it in your mind, though. I mean, both of you on panel, if you see Molly McMichael on the stand testifying to something, and then Ann Taylor or Massoff steps up to cross-examine, do you think it's going to hold water? You think she's going to survive that?
I don't know. But, if we go back to what was said earlier, that they didn't have a chance in hell no matter what was going to happen, that Brian was going to be convicted no matter what. So, and I think Ann knew that. So take that into account with something like this. You know what I mean?
But if Ann knew that, why doesn't she take it upwards to the Supreme Court and even higher, stating, I have a client here that's facing the death penalty and the decks are stacked and he has zero chance. There's an avenue that you could take within that, but the very first avenue I would expect is Ann Taylor would have taken a microphone, stood before the crowd, just like the people in the Luigi Mangione, as the attorneys did, and share with the community exactly how they feel that their client Brian Koberger can't win.
Right. Lucy, you got to drop it in Discord, hon. I cannot open links in here. But I want to. And then after we go look at this document, she said, this is how you know it is the thing that tipped the scale. Yeah, just drop that link that you brought in the Discord to me real quick, and I'll open it that way. Thank you, dear. And it's about the gag order. She says after that, hold on here.
And Lucy, I love and adore you. I mean, we've gone way back, and even in difference of opinions, I always respect everything you have to say. I mean, that's one thing I call her Heather because I've always known her
Yeah,
as
I know.
Heather.
That's what I do too usually, but I got used to calling her Lucy again.
This Lucy crap blows my mind, but you know, we've had some of the most amazing intellectual conversations, and she is so on point with just about everything she does, research, speaking,
Yep.
everything. So
Yes,
it's
right.
it's hard, Dago, to disagree with her. I just in
I
this
don't.
case,
I don't. That's the thing. I will not. When she says something, I know she's right. Absolutely. There was one time she was wrong, and it was she had a number wrong, and that was the only thing that was wrong. It was just based on a number, but it was
well,
fun. It was very fun.
I just know with my interaction with some of the family members very close to this case, it doesn't add up to Molly. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. What do we got here?
So this is the state's response to defendant's 24th supplemental request for discovery exhibit W filed on June 25th. Redacted, of course. The state's responses are provided in blue, and the state will continue. And of course, we know defense is, or the other is the other copy of all arrest reports, charging documents, and videos for Molly Marie McMichael. Blah blah blah. From June 1st of 22. The state has complied with the video portion of this request and has provided the following. Discovery location is that's the audio visual number, body worn camera videos for September 4th of 24 and September 5th. So these are the when she gets pulled over AR, that whole video that came out. That
where they searched her car and all
Hey,
that.
Dago, brother, I'm going to jump down. I got to get up early in the morning. I got a 2-hour drive to Chautauqua, Kansas to see my oldest daughter get married.
All right. Well, congratulations and enjoy yourself, sir, and be safe on your trip.
All right. I love you guys.
Good night,
All right.
Andy. Sorry, you're going to bed, dear. And it's the state has requested the balance of this request and will discover upon receipt. It says the copy of all email communication between the Goncalves family, their attorney or representative, and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office relating to Molly McMichael. Now think about that, AR. Why in the hell would Steve Goncalves have anything to do with Molly McMichael?
I mean, if he feels as though that's confidential informant, then that's something. But that's the whole thing too. Was she going to be a testifying informant, or was she going to stay confidential and not take the stand?
I'm not sure. I am not truly sure. And it says email from Steve from June 19th of 25, an email from Shannon Gray discovered on July 7th. And that's the Bates number there. Copy of all email communication from Latah Prosecutor's Office and law enforcement relating to Molly. The state objects to this request as it is exempted from disclosure pursuant to Rule 16.3G. Any updated supplemental reports and or recordings of interviews conducted by law enforcement with Molly. And then it says the state has requested this information and will discover upon receipt. I don't know. This was an interesting situation here. And that goes backwards. Right. Here we go. These are the things that Ann requested 3 days before they took the plea. So that, I think everybody came to effect of thinking that this deeply had something to do with what was coming. Okay. And then it says that she was never confidential. She was protected. And I do remember that when we looked her up, she was listed as protected. And I guess there's a huge difference. Thank you. So you know what these terms mean, and you know a lot about this stuff from your experience. So what do you take from it? Take your time.
Well, when you say she was protected, it's because she's a confidential informant, whether that be a confidential informant that's been utilized in other cases, or she could be potentially the confidential informant in this case that Ann Taylor was digging for the very beginning of this case. She was requesting information on who was potentially the confidential informant or the second co-defendant.
Mhm.
And, I ran with the co-defendant thing thinking that they were looking for somebody else
Right.
potentially involved in the
We
case.
all did in the beginning. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, I mean, in the realization of what's being written here, I mean, Ann Taylor's digging, she's fighting. Now she wants to create, this is my opinion, she's finding out that Gonzalez families are definitely involved again behind the scenes, causing issues within this case. And I think she wanted to utilize that. And I bet you Judge Hippler just pretty much slapped her on that, said that's not happening.
Right.
And the prosecution probably informed her that she was going to be testifying, like that she was almost like an eyewitness. She was there, and that's why I asked, are we thinking that she was going to be an actual person that was going to be a witness, that was going to testify in the court, she was going to take the stand, be cross-examined, or was she just a confidential informant that was utilized in the case to lead and point towards Brian Koberger or help within the investigation that landed to Koberger, because then she would be off limits and wouldn't be testifying anyway. Yet, the law enforcement could utilize some of the information that was garnered from that as a part of their investigative technique, and they could display that at trial. Now, if that's the case, if that's what is deemed to have happened, that she helped lead to Brian Koberger and she was not going to testify, well, that handcuffs the defense. And then that would be very true in what Heather is saying. That would be a protected individual that's not going to have to take the stand. They're not going to have to answer for the statements they made. And it's going to be very difficult for the defense to overcome that, because it would legitimately put Brian Koberger at the crime scene and visually seen. So it just
Well, like I said before, real quick, she said she definitely wasn't confidential. And then she says any informant that Ann was looking for was related to the IGG because the state named them CI. She definitely knew about Molly Ann did. Yeah. And again, this is the one thing I had to think, that when Goncalves said that he was going to go meet with an informant and the FBI threatened him, that's her. It's got to be her. Okay. And then we have another document here. The state's witness list, P 2025. Molly is listed. Right. She is definitely. She's listed on the witness list. The state's witnesses, April 21st of 25.
And remember, just because she's listed doesn't mean she's going to testify. They may not call her. Or she could be also utilized at the point, because she's on the list, she could be called as a rebuttal. So if the defense was able to discredit something in regards to the state's case, they could bring her up and call her because she's on the witness list. So she's readily available and on that list. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I realize now, Heather, you're making your point. She was obviously known, but that should have been attacked in 2023, not 2025, a month before trial.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know that. Well, knowing how this thing went down, that this was going to happen either way. I don't think Ann trusted in how this was going to take place. You know what I'm saying? Ann was not aware that she changed her story. Okay. See, that makes a difference there. So there you go. So if she's not aware, oh, bingo. See, that I didn't realize. Thank you. Ann did not know that Molly changed her story until this hit the media, is what it seems to be. So in turn, Ann thought that this girl was an eyewitness and was going to put him at the spot. And then she in turn changed her story. And before that, Ann took the plea, or I'm sorry, Brian took the plea, and it was too late at that point. That's crazy.
So so Brian Koberger took the plea, then Ann Taylor realized that everything had changed about the story. So pretty much Ann Taylor took the plea with Brian, and then the truth came out after the fact.
It's what it seems to be, is what she's saying. So that's kind of how I'm reading it, and it makes sense in that aspect.
But
Nope, I'm wrong.
did-
No, stop. I'm no. I guess I'm not reading what she said right. I'm sorry. She said no and no. Don't swear at me. It was before he took the plea, which is what I thought. I'm sorry I said it the wrong way. And
See, that's what I think.
and found out in June that Molly got a news story that is different from the MPD narrative 104. Right. Okay.
Right. So that's what I was putting together, Dago, with what you just read in 104. She was stated she didn't see anything. She saw the girl upstairs. She saw this, that, a tan car. Then, right prior to this working its way into jury selection, Ann Taylor most likely saw the release footage and the information that came out, that now all of a sudden the story had changed and Molly was going to testify to actually seeing Brian at the crime scene, and everything was coming together so that she could testify in a way that would pin Brian at the crime scene and the perp of the crime. So they at that point would say, oh, we're screwed. We need a plea bargain.
Yeah, she says that the Molly story hit the media on June 13th and filed for, if you remember, and filed for the 24th discovery on June 25th. Like, what is it? 11 days later. And then 3 days later, they announced the plea. So that's still strange to me, because if they saw this as, if she knew that Molly changed her story before the plea deal was accepted, was put into effect, that would almost, in my opinion, could be seen as exculpatory for Brian. Do you agree? This is an unreliable witness that could have at one point stated, and I know what you're saying about that, Heather. I get 100% know what that is. That's what I was going to go to next. But like, it should have been, in my opinion, if I was a defense attorney, would have seen that as exculpatory to my defendant. And I think we could have used that against the state. But then she said also that, and is that what you're referring to when Hitler said that it was time for the best last offer, which is where the plea came out? It was time. And Ann probably told Brian, look, we've got no chance here. They're going to have people lie to convict you. Bingo. That's what Tomboy just said there. So that's what I thought too, Tomboy. That's exactly where my head went with that immediately. Molly changing her story is inculpatory. That's where I'm getting lost, Heather. I'm sorry. So if Molly, okay, let me rephrase this again in layman's terms. I'm sorry. I sent you a 100-second video. Okay, hold on a minute. I'm sorry. The timing of the plea. All right, let's pull this up real quick. Thank you, Heather. And I'm sorry. I don't mean to be difficult. Oh, Jesus. Okay. I don't mean to be. Oh, I love Heather so much. She's. Thank you for putting up with me. All right, here we go.
Yeah, do you have the sound on?
Oh, you didn't hear that? Okay, I'm sorry. I must not have clicked the right button here. Hold on. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's either life without parole or death, right? In that case, I just want to get, before we get to that, defense's position on sentencing for the burglary charge, if they have concerns about sentencing at that time as well, given that it's probably not even a tail wag on the dog, let alone wagging the dog. So, but I'm not going to make you tell me that now, but I will ask you before the jury goes out what you want to do.
If you didn't notice, it's funny because it's the hearing that you are at. Twiz is back there too.
Was I at this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you and Jen are sitting back there.
I'm going to hand you another piece of paper that I would like to get back from the defense sometime in late June or early July, which is a declaration of last best offer. In other words, identifying whether the defendant received an offer and whether he has accepted, rejected, etc. Just so that for purposes of post-conviction, we've documented that. Okay.
I love Heather's little videos. It was time, and someone leaked Molly's news story to successfully lock in that conviction. So basically, AR, no matter what this thing was, no matter what the story was, it was the fact Molly saw him, period. That was the end of it. They weren't going to go any other direction with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I mean, it does and it doesn't, but it does. With this case, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there was no chance for innocence with a biased, evil old man. Very true. It was already on the table. Good point. So yeah, it was time. That whole thing, the plea deal was put out there. They were already in the works of this whole thing. It was a bunch of bullshit. And again, Heather, please accept my apology for being so difficult in understanding certain things. I'm sorry. This has been a struggle for me through this whole thing, guys. It truly has. With a lot of this stuff, it's just nuts. It should not be this way, but in this specific court, agreed. 100%. Yeah, it was handcrafted by Hitler, in my opinion. Absolutely. Because it's hard to understand it. It truly is hard to understand how and why in a, like Lady likes to put it, in a right side up world, this would have never happened like this, AR, and you know that. In your own personal experiences, this would have never went down like this. This is not a right side up world in this case, nor is this a right side up. It's not a good court systems, good judge, good none of it's good. None of it's on the right, going in the right angle in the right direction. It's
wow, that's
say again.
While you have that up, I echo. So I was kind of waiting. I was actually at the court hearing in April, not in May.
Okay, so maybe it was just I keep getting the I forgot that Twiz went to more than one, and I always put you two together at that day that you were there together. So
yeah, he went I believe to one before I went. Then he went to the one with me, and then he went to one after. Yes. That was I don't remember what the May 15th hearing was. It had to do with, you know, the motion and eliminate stuff like that. But I mean, I can see the points that you guys are making in regards to Molly Michael being a part of the plea agreement. I just, you know, I have a little bit of just opinionated pushback, but it's only opinionated. It's nothing factually based or anything like that. And I mean, there's a lot that leads me to believe that Heather could be absolutely 100% correct in her assessment with the backing of the information she has. I feel that there's more stacked of, like, the case is stacked against him in every single, you know, way. So if Molly McMichael's just the end result, the last piece of the puzzle that tipped over the the Jenga and made him plea bargain, okay, then I guess I could kind of see it that way. But, I still, within me, I feel like his thought process, and based upon, what he could potentially have talked with his attorneys, based upon the things that I'm learning, is there was other options if he accepted the plea bargain that he could potentially not have had if he didn't accept it, if that makes sense. Like, it could speed up the process faster to get to certain avenues of an investigative adventure by other people into the case, and maybe that would benefit him more than trying to go to trial, more a negative spin, more of a negative narrative, more of everything coming in. Now you got a falsified witness that says that she could see him there, but she don't even know her first name that night. She probably had used and was so high that she was walking around the neighborhood, with this bag of Arby's, that just not even knowing what was going on. The cops probably passed her and told her, if you don't get your butt home, we're going to, arrest you, but you're our informant. We need you, So there's a lot that goes into that for sure. It's very thought provoking, very, very thought provoking. You're on mute.
I always do that. Sorry. Yeah, everything was stacked against him. We all know that. Everything that could be. The man had no chance, period. There's just no other way to look at it. I knew
that when he stood silent, I knew he didn't have a chance. And I don't know why I had that gut feeling. I was hoping the system would have so many eyes on it that Idaho wouldn't be able to spin this the way that they did. But
that's what Sarge thought. He thought that there's too many people watching this, that this judge, and they're not going to allow, an impartial or a jury to be tainted here, which we know that's not true. It happened, and that the judge would have to rule the right way with this, but he didn't. They didn't care. It didn't matter. This was never going to happen.
You and I have talked about making a difference. Like, you and I had a great conversation about it last night, and I think you and I were pretty firmly in the endeavor that we want to continue the path of what we do, but we want to continue that path and make a difference as we do it, so it becomes more fulfilling within us. So when we watch the Karen Reed case, we literally see a gentleman that's willing to put his own freedom at risk to stand before the court and scream to the threshold to get the eyes on the Karen Reed case and get the notoriety that she could potentially be innocent and the corruptness. I'm telling you right now, I was in front of that courtroom in Idaho, and there was not a single voice, not a single one, that was at all in representation of justice or the proper method of trying to go after a defendant like Brian Cover. It was completely the opposite. They skirted that away. I do remember my wife and I got to the courthouse on the morning of the hearing rather early. It was like 4:30 in the morning. And we had to turn around, go back to our car because I had forgot my microphones to be able to do the live that I was planning on doing. And when we got those, we walked back over to the courthouse. It's about a 5-minute little jaunt up the main street there in Boise. I walked up on the courthouse, and there was already big cameras set up, outside, and they had signs, victims, family, this, that, narrative, mainstream media, this, that. There was nothing there. Like, if you want to speak on Brian Koberger's behalf, come on over and have a chat with us, and so I decided to go live, and Jen's filming me, and I literally walked up on the dude that set up those cameras, and Jen just was like, here it comes, and I'm starting to talk to this dude, and I'm like, so I'm guessing you found him guilty already? And Jen cut the mics, and she's like, oh, Howard, he's gonna set this one off. This is gonna get bad, And she's like, we gotta wait for Twiz to get here and back up because you're gonna get a riot going out here. But my whole point was, it was like we got here and everybody's so against, even the voices for the people that were were speaking on behalf of Brian Kober. I wasn't there to speak, to claim anything great for him, but I was there for justice. I was there to not only see it with my own eyes, hear it with my own ears, but
Yeah,
really take it all in. And, it was a
absolutely.
different experience.
And that's what it's about. Like, and you have to know that if you would have, God bless Jen, if you would have started that, okay, even with Twiz there, okay, it would have went bad, dude. It would have been, we know that at this point, we know it would have went way to the right in a direction that and I don't mean that politically, folks. I'm just saying in a bad right turn. It would have caused so many problems. Okay. And you probably would have been swarmed. But to be honest with you, I hate to say that, but that's how I saw from what I could see being here, streaming that stuff live. I turned you on once or twice. I turned other people on, and you could see that the tension, folks. I mean, it was dark. Steve was doing his thing about how I'm not going in and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And he's leaving the courthouse. And it was just and he's talking shit about Brian's family that day. It was bad. I mean, the whole thing was bad.
Where I think it got a little nerve-wracking, not so much for myself, but people around the situation, is when Steve and I came face to face. I was coming out of the restroom and he was going in the restroom. And Bill Thompson was standing just to the right. And of course, others were kind of around us that I saw the guilters. I saw the people that I knew were on the guilty side. And then I had a handful of people that were around me. I wasn't around other content creators that supported my work. Twiz was off doing his thing. And so it was like Jen had to really take a deep breath because she thought this is the moment. Like this is going to be that situation all over again, because I wasn't going to be tamed. My voice wasn't going to be quieted. I mean, it just wasn't going to be, but I wasn't going to be pushed around. And luckily nothing did happen, which is good. The respect factor I was able to stay in the courtroom, but literally, I told Jen I was leaving 5 minutes after that. I wasn't even going to wait out the whole hearing. And Jen's like, why? I said, because I have a bad feeling like it's about ready to just get crazy now, because I could tell nobody wanted support for Brian there. And I've been pretty outspoken on my platform that no, it's not all about Brian, but it's about justice. And I was there, to talk about the injustices that I saw. I wasn't there to talk on behalf of the courts and, the victim's family. I was there to point out this is all BS, and my own wife was willing to do it too.
And if you remember, right, and if you remember going forward a little bit, when we went to the sentencing hearing, for instance, okay, they set the scene and they set it for the day on that day. They turned the whole courtroom was moved around, and Steve walks up and turns to the stand facing Brian. It was all a dramatization, in my opinion, on purpose. Olivia's impact statement, Steve's impact statement, so on and so forth. But they saved Steve Gonzalez Jr.'s impact statement till after the sentencing hearing. And he goes outside and completely railed Bill Thompson and the judicial system and how things went down. And I have to wonder if that was set. They wouldn't allow him to say that. I think that they reviewed these statements, I was going to say, before they were spoken, and they did not allow that. Okay. Which again, because in turn, I'm saying this because even though it wasn't defending Brian Koberger, it was going against the prosecution. In turn, could be seen as a defense for Brian Koberger by some people in a way. You know what I mean? And I think that they weren't going to have any of that, AR, no matter when it was, whether it's sentencing or 5 hearings beforehand when they're talking about other things. They were not having it no matter what. There was no narrative that was going to be allowed to be pushed. And we saw that through mainstream media. We saw that through every interview ever given. There was no way anybody was defending that guy to the world, period. They were not going to.
I 100% agree with you, but I can make this a pretty clear statement, and my wife knows this to be true again, that if I get another feeling like what I had during the Koberger case and another case, I'm going to speak out right in front of the court, and I'm going to bring attention to it. Because if I feel as though this is something that's very important to me now, is proper justice, not just justice, proper justice. If you got the right guy, you got the right guy. If you
True
got the right
justice.
girl, you got
Yes.
the right girl.
Yep.
If you go properly through, see, I can't say like I know all the laws, and I know how the system works. I know how start through sentencing and all of that. So I know the steps from the arraignment and all of that. I could see this derailed immediately in the Brian Coburger case when we thought, we were going to get a preliminary hearing, and then the grand jury indictment hit all over the Bethany Funk stuff, and she's in a whole nother state, doesn't want to come back. I could see it derailing, and I hold myself accountable that I didn't do a better job of standing right in front of those courts and speaking my feelings and my knowledge. I think that I could have got some ears that wanted to listen, that needed to listen, and maybe even opened up other people's voices that could have maybe spoken even better than I did and brought even more attention to what was going on. But I'm not sure attention was going to change what was happening to Brian Koberger. Unfortunately, I think that maybe you and Heather have all told me they got him. They were convicting him. He was going away. That's that. This case was going to be sealed. And if I stand in front of that courtroom and scream and scream and scream, I might have been joining him.
See, I thought about that too in your situation when I watched you and what you had said that day and so on and so forth, and things that Twist said. And it made me wonder if more of us were able to go to that and we're there in a union, you and me and Twiz and maybe Lana and somebody else. And it, as a unit whole, if it would have made some bit of a difference, and not really sitting there saying he's innocent or anything like that, but is this justice? And that kind of a situation.
And that's where I wanted to, I have to grow and learn and become more educated and better at doing that, to where I can feel confident enough to go in front of, because I felt the day before when I did the video talking about the courthouse, and then I showed the back door where he was coming in, and then we made the drive to the jail. I was very comfortable. I was very confident. Here we are. We're okay. But getting into that type of conversation, like this very court right here is screwing people. A man's rights in this courtroom are being violated time and time again. That's where I need to become more educated and stronger and being able to do that at a better level. And I want to do that. That's something I strive to do.
Yeah, no, I get it. And Lucy says, but question mark, do they have the right guy? And she says, I'm not so sure. And which way do you mean that, Lucy? That's the thing. Which way? I mean, are you saying, is this the right guy? You think they may have the right guy, or you absolutely do not know or think that this is the right guy?
Well, I mean, let me throw a good question to you, Diego. Does anybody fully know or fully feel confident that they have the right guy? Because I don't even feel as though the victims' families feel as though they 100% have the right guy. They hope so. They're driven to push that they do because they want the case solved and they want the narratives to fit what they're saying. But at the end of the day, do they 100% within them go to sleep every night on their pillow and say, thank God we have the person that got our children's lives?
And see, I'm going to tell you, and this is truly and solely in my opinion, AR. I think there's people that know, and this is just my opinion, guys. I'm not saying that you have to feel this way either, but I think within the prosecution, the LEO, the law enforcement, the judicial system, and the families, that they know that they don't have the right guy. That's my opinion.
And that's why I need to be more educated and better in my speaking ways, because I agree with you. I think it doesn't matter what I know or what I think on whether they have the right guy or not, even though, of course,
Yeah.
I'm coming to the better visualization. I don't believe they do either. But at the end of the day, if I could look at the very court that is supposed to uphold justice across the board, because if my wife's life got taken, let me just kind of put myself as if my wife's life being taken and it's being handled the way the Idaho 4 case was, I would expect myself to stand in front of that court and demand justice be done correctly.
Yes.
Proper investigations to be done. You are not going to disrespect or discredit my wife's life the way that they did these 4 kids and just bring anybody and everybody in and just tell me they got the right guy. No. You had to prove that to me even. I get it. You're trying to solve my wife's murder, and in this case, they're trying to solve Steve's daughter's loss, the Mogan family, the Chapin family. They should have all been the ones in front of that courtroom saying, I don't think we believe you. You need to prove this.
Bingo. And that is why after the fact, I watched many interviews after the sentencing and conviction and all that, okay? And the more I see, I'm telling you, I agree with Lucy. They all for sure know they don't have the right guy. But what are they going to do at that point, AR? Why? And I think they've known this, okay? I truly think they've known this, including the families. I think they've known this, but everybody is riding this train, okay? They're on this train. Full speed ahead. Nobody can get off of it, AR. Nobody can stop at a station and get off. Nobody can pull that, let's stop this here, and they can't. It's not going to happen.
I'll tell you what the downfall of this would be. If it came out, let's say, and there's 2 ways it could come out. They could admit they don't have the wrong guy, or it could be proven they have the wrong guy.
Mm-mm.
And either way, you understand every bit of credibility of these prosecutors is out the window, and every case that has been tried by these individuals, like Bill Thompson, is going to be reviewed. So this is going to open the door now for other people like the Brian Coverders and other people that are locked up within the penitentiary system that have been convicted by these very prosecutors to open the door to get their cases revisited, reheard, relooked at. Man, this is a much bigger situation because they kept just rolling with it, and we all knew this was bogus the entire time. I did 3 years worth of content talking about, possible other motives, possible other perpetrators, possible other things. And I didn't do it because I was trying to deflect away from Brian. I was doing it because Brian did not make sense, and I did not think they had the case solved. And in that case,
they don't at all. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. My truth in this, AR, honest to God. And Lucy said it too. Let me find it here again real quick. Steve's behavior outside the courthouse on July 2nd of 25. Do you remember that whole thing? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, I'm not going to say what I think was really going on, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into any of that. But I'm telling you, my feelings is what I truly believe. And this is fact. Okay. True. And fact to me, in my heart and soul. And I felt this way for quite a while now. I'm telling you all 100% believe that they're going to call this family, Bill Thomas, the entire prosecution team, the judge, even the defense to some aspect, okay, knows exactly that Brian is not the person that did this. And in fact, I'll go as far as saying that I believe that they do know who did this. They absolutely know who did this. And that's what I feel on this. And I have for a while, okay? But they can't. And they can never bring forth that information, in my opinion.
So I want to say something, in regards to the just Steve directly, really. I mean, it would be really directed at Steve and Christy. If I could get him in front of me and say it, I potentially would. But so I've got this issue with the double standard of you're speaking so strongly about guilt, but then you're going against the prosecutors if you don't trust them and the lack of information they're giving you. So it's a double-edged sword here. We're talking out about both sides of our mouth. And the reason why I feel like this is an issue is Steve Gonzalez, in my opinion, doesn't 100% agree with the investigation. I don't think he agrees with the end result of Brian Koberger being the only perp, if even the perp. I don't believe that he's happy with the death penalty being gone. The entirety of that whole thing, I don't believe Steve Gonzalez is 100% on board with. However, I believe that he shuts his mouth on those topics and speaks about Brian Koberger's guilt and all of that because it's money in the pocket. It also allows him all the angles and all the places he can go talk about the case and his daughter. All of these shows, if you notice, he goes to are guilter shows.
Yeah, absolutely. He won't ever step foot on anywhere else. I've offered my platform. It'll never happen.
I've offered him my own platform, and that man and I communicated numerous times as normal human beings. And I said, look, I offer you an open forum on my platform, and I'm not even a guilter or a pro-burger. I'm neither one. I'm just down the middle talking about this case. If you want to come on, I'll give you a platform. I know it's not a huge platform, but it's an honest, real platform. If you want to come use it, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not a guilter, man. I'm not a guilter. He liked those guilter platforms, and it was good for his narrative. And the money flowed. The money from those. Do you guys? I hate to say this, but do people legitimately
keep going? AR, 1 second. My son's on the.
Yeah, no problem. Do people legitimately think that the Gonzalez family were doing these interviews for free? Like, they're being paid for that, ladies and gentlemen. When you work with a major network and you do these sit-down interviews, you get paid. You get paid for your time. You get paid for the flights. You get to travel. It's all paid for. Your food, your cars, everything's paid for. Plus, if you take a step away and don't feel as though Brian Koberger's guilty, and you're running a Facebook group and a GoFundMe for the trial and everything of that nature, the money stops. If you don't go with the fact that Brian Koberger's guilty. If you start saying, I feel as though Brian Koberger's potentially innocent, well, now you don't have the GoFundMe for the trial. You don't have the payments from the major networks. You don't have all of that. You don't have all that. So I'm frustrated. I literally had somebody the other day.
Let me reiterate. No, I just want to reiterate something. I do believe that the Gonzalez knows, but I'm going to say I don't think they knew the whole time. Let me rephrase that, okay? I don't think they knew in the beginning. Maybe midway through, but I don't. Maybe closer towards the end is when it may have been realized that they know that it's not Brian. Okay.
I think the minute Brian was arrested, they didn't believe it.
I think he had doubts. Christy was all about it from the beginning because I think she needed closure. Okay. That's all I'm saying with that, because I remember Steve making a statement that he was open to the fact that others were involved possibly. And I still stick with AR, the fact that Christy stated she clearly and truly believed that this is somebody that Kaylee knew. I don't think that changed, at least not in Steve's mind. Okay. And maybe Christy is on, on airs or whatever, because she has to have closure, because I get that. As a parent, I would be broke. I would be broken as a parent. Okay. And that's the only way this is helping, is knowing, pretending that this is true and that this is the one. But I'm telling you, I know for a fact in my mind and my soul that the prosecution and the judge and the defense know that Brian didn't do this wholeheartedly. Okay. And I think that the family, maybe one of the families knows it for sure as well. And maybe even knows who it possibly could be. Now, I think the Goncalves family and a few others, I think that a couple of the family members and other families have doubted this. They've had other options in their mind, but they haven't been brought to the table. They haven't been, what's the word I'm trying to think of? They haven't been made important in this case. I'll put it that way. I hate to say that because they're all important, but you know what I mean? They weren't allowed to step forth and make a statement per se. But I think that towards the middle of this case, that there was nothing but doubt brought to mind with Steve, knowing that the investigation isn't what it is. And at some point, he had to get on board with this, AR. He had to be on board for this to happen and for this to work. And I think that was told to him. Now, at the very end of this, when the death penalty didn't happen and the plea deal was taken and so on and so forth, granted, yes, that's, I think he was doubting Brian the whole time, but this is still in their mind the be-all, end-all, in my opinion. So,
dude, if you got this case solved, as tight-knit as they say they have it solved,
they don't.
You don't take a plea bargain removing the death penalty.
No, you don't. Not in a case like this. You are absolutely right. And you know that, my friend. You know that, okay?
I know for 100% fact you don't. I have people I know, I have a friend on death row in Arizona. They do not take the death penalty off the table if they got you convicted of the crime of the death penalty, because it is so in the eyes of people, and it's an emotional driver for these types of cases. People feel justice is served if that death penalty is administered. And look, you definitely don't piss off the victim's family by saying, hey, by the way, we're taking the death penalty off. This guy's life is worth more than your child's.
Thank you. And let me ask you another quick question here, because I'm gonna be done with this for tonight here in a few minutes here, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. But do you think, okay, let me move this for a minute and then we'll go back to that. Do you think, okay, because he admitted to putting out false stories. Okay, he admitted to leaking information. He admitted to asking people to make statements that were not true. And Lucy says it here. They know damn well that they put out false stories. They have admitted doing it, like I just said. And unfortunately for them, the other families, and for Kohberger, the state used that to their advantage. Amen to that. Yes. Do you not think that with what happened with that situation, with what he did, that he didn't doubt? He didn't doubt the people that were asking him to do stuff like that, because I know they did. And I know they enforced it. And I'm not enforcing it, but they okayed it. They allowed it. They allowed him, and they fed him garbage information on purpose. AR, you know that, okay? All of that stuff. You don't think that in the back of that man's mind that he's like, what is, like, truly and honestly, everything is clouded, but at the same time, like, what the fuck are they doing? What the fuck are they doing? Well, you're not doubting what their thoughts are. You have to doubt it as a human being, in my opinion.
You watched him go back and forth, dude.
Yes.
He went back and forth. And then his own son tore apart the prosecution. His own son, right in front of the courtroom, said, hey, look at the prosecutor. Everybody, get your eyes on this prosecutor and look at his track record and look at the problems here. And they were calling it all out in a very quiet manner because, come on, man, you and I both know. They know this case is not solved. Their daughter's life has not been respected the way it should have been.
Right.
And this is 4 lives. And even if you care about Dylan and Bethany, which I don't think the prosecution does, I don't think they give 2 damns about those 2 girls.
Nope.
They disrespected those 2 girls in all of this as well, because they could have kept them much more protected from all of the scrutiny that they had to go through, but they botched that very early.
That's smoke and mirrors. That helps to keep everybody's eyes over there while they're doing what they're doing over here. Remember that.
Right. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think it was a topsy-turvy. There was some drinking going on that changed emotions on certain days, and things happen. But at the end of the day, what really sucks is now they've just accepted it. Instead of being the voice that people would listen to, and the system would have to listen to it. If Steve Gonzalez and Christy Gonzalez and the Chapin family and the Mogans all stepped in front of that courtroom and said, we are damn well pissed off. You didn't prove nothing. Nothing.
It would only need to be one family member, bro. If one family member were to challenge it, just one person, you know how much support they would have? The support they would have would be unbeknownst. It'd be crazy.
And they would have it for both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know why people think that the guilters would just drop them on their head and be like, no, we can't. They want to support the victims' families.
Yes.
So if the victims' families speak up, they're going to support it. And that's where I'm a little disappointed. I think even if you're content you got a conviction, you should have still stepped up to the podium and said, this investigation was BS, and we need to go back and figure this out because we can't have it like this again.
Amen. You know? Amen. Like Lucy just said, Steve wanted to see the evidence in court, just like the rest of us. He said that time and time and time again. Yeah. And if his actions gave Kohberger any reason to plea, I'm just saying I would be mad as hell too. I get it. Okay. But yeah, I mean, those are my feelings on this, and they have been for quite a while. Okay. It took me a while to get to that point. And it took me a while to kind of see it. And even now, for instance, the interview we just watched the other day with Olivia and Steve about the movie coming out and stuff, the looks and the faces that Steve is making when things are stated, the kind of like the pushed over like persona that he's I mean, he knows. I'm telling you, he knows that Bryan Kohberger, they may even turn it and say, well, I know that he's not the only one. Now, you know he didn't do this. In my heart, I feel that he knows he didn't do this. And that's got to hurt. That's got to hurt. You know, he's already been ran over with the steamroller by the judicial system and law enforcement. And now imagine how you would feel after supporting to some extent and pushing that narrative the whole time and realizing that narrative was built and created because of you. And they used you to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I'll leave my last point because I agree with everything you're saying. My last point would be a simple question. If I was able to look Steve right in the eye right now and ask him, I would have one question. What happened to the alpha?
Yeah, he didn't want to be the alpha. And at that point, you should have stepped up and done that. Because
didn't he say at the very beginning, he said, don't make me be the alpha. You know what? My calling out to Steve is, I wish you were. I wish you had been the alpha. I wish you had even today stepped up to be the alpha.
Agreed.
Call out the BS that you see in this case. Call out the investigation of this case. Call out the prosecution of this case. Call out every detail. Get every eye on it and bring the absolute respect that your daughter deserves into everybody's hearts.
There you go.
Call this out. Be the alpha.
Good night, Tomboy. We're about done anyway, hon, but have a good night. But you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's got to be, like Lucy said, it's got to be 100% devastating. And it's not too late. You can still call this out. You can still, I know it may make you look some type of way for a little while because of the narrative you ran with for so long and how hard you pushed it. It doesn't matter. You can still step up to the plate and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was fed a line of bullshit. I was used. And I was told this, this, and this. Play it for what it is. Play it all the way around, bro. But at this point, I feel like I know the truth. And this is not the truth. And this is not justice for my daughter. And damn it, I need and want and deserve that. And something needs to happen here. And that's exactly what it can still happen. And there will be a respect gained immediately in that point, I believe. Right away. Hey, Wildfire, good to see you. And that's what needs to happen. And I'm not going to shut up about this until somebody sees that for what it is in some form, okay? Whether it's the Innocence Project, whether it's an appellate court that steps in, or another attorney that steps in, or something that's going on in the background right now, something is going to tell this story somehow. And that's when I will shut my damn mouth. But until then, I can't, guys. Because why? Because this could happen to my friend AR. This could happen to myself. This could happen to Yvonne, Kim Young, Murky Piglet, SRB. Nothing happened. It could happen to any one of us, and I will not stand here and sit and watch that happen to anybody else. It's not right. It's unfair, and that's not what our country is about, folks. We are the people. We need to stand up for each other, period.
That's why I want to dive in as much as I possibly can, learn as much as I can, educate myself, become just more experienced. I want to travel. I want to go to different courthouses. I want to go see the methods of other cases. I want to see what death penalty cases are like. We have a new death penalty case here in Vegas, which the YouTuber killed the YouTuber and his wife right here on the strip. He's being held right here, on death. He's on death penalty. I'm going to learn as much as I can about that case, watch step by step how it plays out in the courtroom, how the lawyers interact, how the evidence is processed and let out, because then you can apply it to other cases. Then I can come back to cases like the Koberger case. I can come back to Delphi. I can come back to these with what I've learned and then interject that knowledge in and start picking them apart even in a better manner, even approaching the court systems and seeing if I can get some sort. Hey, can I get an interview with you guys? I just have a few questions I would like to ask. I want to do it in the most proper, respectful way, but I would like to learn from you why this happened in your courtroom.
And you know what? I said it not too long ago, about a couple months back. I said, you know what we need to do? And it's hard because there's so few of them now, but we need to see a real court case happen, a real investigation happen, and follow that through and reference that to what we just saw play out in this case and realize how jacked up it is, so that people can understand what a real case is supposed to be like and a real trial is supposed to be like as compared to this damn mess. Okay. That's something I think we all do need to see and learn it for ourselves to be able to apply that. I agree with you. If that's what you're saying, I do fully agree with that.
And I'll tell you one to look at that's good. It's Mark Godot out of Arizona. He was the baseline rapist. So
I knew that.
The shooter, and then you had the other one, and he took it to trial, and there was ideas of police corruption in that case. There was a lot of questions in that, and they hand walked that guy all the way to death row.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that, Arizona, I'll tell you what, they're a different beast. But
sure,
they do investigate, and they continue to investigate that case even past his conviction, just to make sure they had it right. Because there were so many lives lost that they were still digging up facts after it. That way, if he ever took it for appeal, they had it. Like, they were not going to lose. But that's a case that, I happened to be housed with the guy prior to him committing. Even the first time he was in the penitentiary.
Right,
he got early. I was on a yard with him. And then I was out when he did his thing, and we both went back in. So it was like, oh, we're going again. But that was a case they've been plotting. But I want to go back and study how that case played out and kind of apply it a little bit towards the Koberger case. Because I know, he fought the grand jury. He fought things all the way through it. And I just want to see the resemblance of that.
Sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. I agree with you. Well, sir, another great conversation. Robert, thank you for joining us as well, AR. I didn't expect it, and I'm grateful to have you tonight. It was a great conversation, as always, everybody in chat. Lucy, thank you so much for your interactions and help with this and understanding, per se. But that's what I feel, folks, and I feel bad, but I don't at the same time because, like I said, I think it's known now, and I think they know, and maybe more than just him, but some other family members as well know that Brian Koberger is not the person that killed their loved ones, okay? And that's a sad, sad feeling, and maybe, it's got to be horrible. But again, it's not too late. You can step forward and make some noise, okay? And that's what we're doing, and hopefully we can make something happen in some form or fashion. We're going to be able to do that down the road here because we have time, plenty of time, because I don't see this changing anywhere anytime soon. And again, folks, there's too many of them out here. We've seen corruption in so many more cases than we see it not in. The Gilgo Beach killer, that was police corruption. The Karen Reed situation is police corruption. The Delphi case, there was police corruption. This case, there's police and corruption. In all these cases, you guys, Kylie Rodney's case, there was corruption. And then I'm sorry, but I hate to say this, but Deborah Collier, I do believe that there was corruption. So you show me a black and white cut and dry case nowadays, because I'll be damned. There's so few of them now. We need to look for those too to see what it looks like to be normal.
The only ones that are cut and dry are the ones caught red-handed.
Period. That's right. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sorry to say it. The investigative techniques and skills have really floundered and really gone to shit. But man, if they catch you red-handed, then we know what happened. And that's why so many cases are just cut and dry. Get them on, get them through the process. Stuff like this isn't cut and dry. It's not going to just be pushed through the process.
No.
These are investigative issues and law enforcement problems. And then even on top of that, prosecutorial problems. And this is why it needs attention. This needs to be put in its place.
Not to mention judicial misconduct issues that we see with the judge that covered this case, the judge that covered the Delphi case, the judge at some aspect in the Karen Reed case. Guys, the judges aren't perfect either, okay? This all needs to be brought attention to. And Heather said, I'm not trying to convince anyone. Always do your own research. And I'm telling you the same thing, folks. Don't take my word for it. Read, research, and read AR. You know how much I do that. I see these things for myself. This is where I come to my own conclusions. And I just feel like I get backed up by it, by other things that other people say to some aspect or vice versa. But that is how I feel, folks. Go look at it yourself. Research it yourself. Come up with your own answers, folks. It's all worth it.
I'll say this to Heather. I will never commit another crime because I don't want her researching my case.
I can agree with that one, yes. You will lose out on that one.
She will figure it out so fast. I'm good. I'm going to sit on my couch and eat popcorn.
She will have you pinpointed right away. I agree with that one, brother.
Yep. That's it. Heather, we love you. We definitely appreciate you. And Dago, I want to say a big thank you for having me up. I just thought I'd jump up here and share some time with you. I'm sorry if I held you back on the...
No. I knew it was going to take more than one day to do those because there were so many of them and so much reading. So we'll finish that up tomorrow, you guys. And we will have that handled for sure. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. AR, again, thank you for being here. Everybody in chat, guys, don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Self-care is so important. Don't change a thing. You guys are the beautiful people, and I will see you very soon. Take care, everybody.
Change your socks. Change your socks.
We don't need no trench putting here. Have a great night, everybody. Much love to you all. Good night and God bless.
Everybody. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Neon lights flicker like broken halos. Whispers gather in the smoke-filled air. Tables carved with secrets and shadows. Every story's a wound laid bare. The kettle's boiling with a restless rage. Justice written on an unseen page. I sip the silence, bitter taste, waiting for the ghosts to show their face at the True Crime Cafe. We serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. Mirrors cracked, reflections are liars. Ashes fall where the guilty once stood. The jukebox hums like a funeral choir. Echoes pounding through the neighborhood. Every scar is a candlelit vow. We hunt the how, we demand the now. No from the bottle's rim. The guilty write stories in invisible ink, but we'll drag it all